Brothers, what we doing live?
Do-do-ding, do-do-do-do-ding. Good evening, and how is it going out there, my fellow world patriots? It is indeed Monday, August 10th, 2026, and this is not the Game of Thrones. This is Hold the Line, episode 221, and I do, of course, have my wonderful co-host, Mr. Mac, with me. Hope you guys enjoyed the beginning there. That was from... you guessed it, the White House of all people, and they're posting out a Capitol Restored, or the Capitol Restored. So I thought that was pretty cute with the whole Game of Thrones soundtrack and whatnot. But Mr. Mac, how is it going, brother? How was the week, and what's up, man? I mean, geez, I wish we had some news to cover today. There's not much going on this week. Oh, my word.
Hey, it's going well. Glad to be here. It's been a very interesting past 7 days. I'll say that. We'll get to a lot of it. And whoever made that video, well done. Obviously, it's done with AI. But that was pretty cool. Kind of symbolically telling us, if not already happened, that we've locked down the Capitol. As in, it is occupied, and we are restoring our constitutional republic, which we talked about a lot last week. And I think the White House is conveying that message here.
Yeah, that's badass, dude. And yeah, they are, regilding all the statues and stuff like that, making it pretty again, where people actually would like to visit.
Yeah, they're gilded. Is it called gilding the statues?
Yes, I think it might have been you. I don't know, on one of the shows a while ago, but I know I touched on it really quick on Saturday with Hulk and mentioned that historically the gilding has a symbology or a meaning to it, which is like a victory, right? When they gilded all their statues in gold, it was a symbolic thing of a victory. So I thought that was pretty cute as well. A lot of old-fashioned stuff, huh?
Taking a quick look at AI, what it says, but I'll let it go. I thought I was going to give it a simple yes, and I got to read a whole essay, so I'll leave it alone for now.
Well, what we always do, right, with the timestamp. So that was 9:50, and it had some CIA stuff at the bottom, but I found the very top lines very telling on the post 9:50 here, which was, we reclaimed, we reclaimed the Capitol. Order is restored, and right there it says trust the plan, full control. Post 9:50. Within that, you have the CIA, Department of State, and they're talking about Pompeo and Trust Kansas. Now, some of those were head fakes, dude. I don't know. He could be playing, whatever. But
see, this is what date was this again that this was posted? Real quick?
I'm guessing 2018. Yeah, March 15, 2018.
No, I wasn't around for that. You remember when the boards were infiltrated? At what point were they kind of? There was question. Is that when they changed over from poll to whatever it was?
4chan to 8chan. To be honest with you, I forget when exactly those ones were, but you can actually go on here and if you look for trip or trip updates, it's basically when they started doing it. So maybe if I do update, because they basically had a few issues during the time, and then it was like, well, is this the real team or not? And, you know, what is it? And then they had to kind of provide pictures. Like in the very beginning, they put some pictures over Asia in like 1, 2, 3, 4. And then later on, I think it may have been late 2019 where they had to reintroduce pictures that were not previously released, but in line with the previous pictures that were taken over Asia to say, hey, like this is us, you know.
Scroll down a little bit.
2019 right there. That's one set. Trip updated August 2018. There was a lot of updates in the 18, so there was many. But dude, you know, some of those as well could have just been, you know, not head fakes only for us, but for these folks out here, because you want to think this, right?
Yeah, is that Q posting Pompeo's Trump's guide? I think that's somebody who posted that, right?
This, I believe, is an anon that posted this, and then their post is the Q team's posting this and adding their post, which is this. So this would be non, but who knows?
I believe in, I forget what clip it was, but the CIA and the DOJ have a huge, obviously, implication in this whole, what we'll call it a coup or Russia gate. So I think that's, So I think that, you know, they're direct targets of what Q is talking about. Now, trust Kansas. I don't know if you know, Pompeo was supposedly nicknamed in Kansas, but I forget what else is maybe out of Kansas. So Pompeo, I don't know. Pompeo is not a good dude, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you never
that's
know,
the thing
right?
about the Q posts. They always got you kind of check in to make sure you read it right, if there was other areas that you missed. So
dude, and he, you know, how different does he look, you know, weight loss before and after? And I think you had added maybe we'll pop that. I don't want to do a YouTube video here, but maybe let me see, New York Post here, because I think you dropped it into our links today. Another person that recently lost a lot of weight, but I don't see the same. I see it to a certain extent on here on Mike Pompeo and how he lost 60 pounds in 9 months, but you had added the guy from Roseanne, who I had not seen recently. And so look at this, right? Like everybody says,
he lost majority of that weight in like 1 month. I remember that. It was like ridiculous. We're like, no, this can't happen. That's why it was such a shock. Because one day he was fat and then the next day he was like skinny. So they can drag it out to say he lost 90 pounds in 6 months, but he lost like the majority of it all in 1 month. And it was in the beginning.
Oh God! Now let me see. Was that you from today's link? Dude, there's so much information going on. Did you put the picture in of the guy from
John
Roseanne?
Goodman. Was it John Goodman?
Yeah.
I did put it in there somewhere. Just go to photos. Here it is.
Yeah, if you want to pop it at the bottom, because there is one quick difference I wanted to show people, which is like, you know, right here, they're showing the picture of big Mike Pompeo right there, and then here's thinner Pompeo, but I won't even say it. I'll wait for the chat to say if they see it, and let's just see here. So see if they happen to notice any difference when I pop this one up, and then you also, if you see it, let me know as well. That's the saved. Here we go. This is so funny. And that's John Goodman right there. So, I mean, are you noticing any differences that you're not seeing on Pompeo?
He looks a little tanner, doesn't he?
Yeah,
the newer picture. But what were you saying about?
Well, even me, dude. You know, 45 pounds. I mean, this guy lost 200 pounds. I got a little bit of this in my neck, because of losing weight around the neck.
But he might have gotten that removed.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, right? And then, but when you go over and look at Pompeo, it's like, wow, that's, unless you trim some of this stuff and cut it back or whatever, but I don't see all this extra hanging skin like I do Dan from Roseanne there. You know what I mean? Like all this extra. And I got that, like I said, dude, 40 pounds. And how much weight did he lose, Pompeo? Would they say 90 or something like that? 90 pounds in 6 months. He went on the cocaine, crack, heroin, and AIDS diet. It's like, dude. But again, he does look very, very similar to him. So, all right, enough of that. But we had another.
Just a rather shocking transformation. I mean, good for him if he lost 200 pounds and he's healthy as it can be. But in that picture, he doesn't look very healthy. But maybe he is.
I do got to say too, you're right.
Maybe it's just he must be 74. I'm sure he did some boozing and partying back in the day. So I don't know how much he did.
Yeah, he looks. Some people look better heavier, I guess you could say. We'll just leave it at that for the time being. But who knows? Again, maybe we'll find out with all these things. But you had queued up a very interesting video, so let me pop this bad boy on. And this is something we've been all waiting for. I know in our movement we've been waiting for a very long time. And some people will still complain and be like, "It's not enough." But let's listen to him here first. Love Steve Miller too.
Because of your courage and leadership, Mr. President, millions of parents all over America today are breathing an enormous sigh of relief. I say this as the parent of young children myself. Millions and millions of parents feel they've been pressured when their children are just weeks out of the hospital to take 5 shots, 6 shots, 7 shots all at once. They're told it'll be normal. Your kid will have a fever of 103 for 3 or 4 days. Your kid will stop eating for a week. Your kid's going to change all their sleeping. Don't worry, it's totally fine. It's totally normal. Nobody has studied it. Nobody's looked at it. Nobody's thought about it. The pressure from the pharmaceutical industry and from aspects of the medical industry to pump your kids full of shots days after birth with no understanding of the long-term consequences has been a medical travesty. This is an issue, Mr. President, that you have been leading on for years, and of course the man to your left has been leading on this issue for years as well, too. It's a really incredible of your courage and leadership, Mr. President.
How awesome is that, dude? So the overarching statement out of here is that we are going to be going from the mandated 72 shots the kids were getting now down to 11. And, I don't know what people's feelings are about vaccines are out there, but, we did have people that lived, apparently they say, for millions of years before the 1900s when they had vaccines. So, but then again, didn't they say that people only lived till 30 or 40 back then, Mac? I don't know. But this is very good. You don't need to be jabbing these kids with 72 freaking shots. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, this is a huge step for medicine. Medicine's gotten out of control. Big medicine, big tech, big business has taken it over and incentivized doctors where they shouldn't have been. And I don't think the law is caught up to it. And a lot of what has gone on, especially in the vaccine realm, and this is great. So now instead of people trying to create vaccines for every little problem that shows up and making everybody, we actually have a standard to which to, set our children with. And this 11 vaccines, I'm sure there's ways not even to take that if people are comfortable, but this brings it back to a normalcy, and just common sense. I mean, 72, that's a lot, dude. I'm just thinking about it like, holy crap, 72 vaccines. One was enough when I was a kid,
Dude, way too much. And if I know a lot of people have already seen it, so I'm not going to play it, but we had RFK absolutely destroy. I think we played it on last week's show, but RFK absolutely destroyed Bash over there on CNN because she was literally head down going, saying that things that had not been tested had been, and that they're safe, and vice versa, right? And he's like, no, absolutely freaking not. And, we see stories, and if anybody's not seen the movie Jabbed, I think you still have to pay to see it, but boy, it's worth sending to people that think that there's no problem with them and think that, here's the overarching problem. And this is kind of talking to my brother who's worked in the hospitals his whole life, is kind of the same sentiment that he has, which is one of the doctors in the very beginning. They were asking like, oh, what are your thoughts on vaccines? And what do you think about the CDC and the doctors and the stuff? And what do you think about the vaccines that they're giving the children? And basically what he was saying is like, well, these guys do this stuff for a living. So they're smarter than me. They know this stuff better than me. So I essentially just default to what they tell us. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like Hugh was telling us about the people behind a big desk with a shiny suit. Do you trust them? And it's like, well, that's what all these doctors say. Oh, people over the CDC are really smart people. They have our best interests in mind. And that's it. Kind of like we were with the government, right? Yeah, they're going to take care of us. And we've seen many examples. Like the one example that was just absolutely heartbreaking and a really good example, and again, heartbreaking as hell, it was an African-American twins, female and male. The boy got the vaccines and immediately started like crying like crazy, throwing a fit, like absolutely to the point where they didn't even give the vaccine to the daughter. Well, fast forward, 18 years old or senior year in high school, what should be. The kid's, walking around the living room with a helmet on. He can't do anything. He's barely functioning. Meanwhile, the sister is like high honors. She's playing the piano, right? And so the woman noticed it immediately. And these things, it was a crime what they have been doing to the humans, the human babies in our country and the planet. This is just, you're not ready to do this. Like, your body's not ready for it. And that's why I've been telling people, even when the CDC said the measles, mumps, rubella, well, you can get it for between 2 and 6. If you have to get it because some kids won't be able to go to school, whatever, blah, 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 push it off as long as you can. And dude, I tried that with a cousin, and I started hearing about the massive measles outbreak we had lately. And I'm like, what? Dude, it was like
A lot of this
nothing.
stuff is just being brought in. They're giving infected patients to come in and through planes. I think there was it was D-class in some of the COVID documents that they literally were like implaning people with different strands and sending them to different parts of the world. But there needs to be, this is a great first step, like I said, but there needs to be accountability. I mean, from, I think down to the nurses all the way up. I mean, there needs to be some sort of realization that this was a huge atrocity on humans in general. And, hopefully we get to see that being disclosed here. Now, I think welded into this is a video. First, there's 2 clips at the bottom there of the chat. One's Trump's reaction. There's two subjects here, but the one is a whistleblower detailing the Medicaid fraud that they use in gender, was it gender transition for kids in schools in Texas. So it outlines like the how they're able to manipulate the records in order for that to be federally funded or to kind of push the kid along so that they are more inclined to transition. And I think
Gross.
this is what was going as well behind the scenes with the jabby jabs is that you were being peer pressured into it. And then they remember how they would marking deaths as COVID deaths.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so,
You
that's
died with
another,
COVID.
yeah, it's another malpractice right there. Instead of addressing the real issue, they just labeled it on there because they were getting paid extra to put that label down. And the only other time that that's happened was AIDS.
Oh shit! Did they do the same
And-
thing back then too? Yeah, huh?
Yeah, yeah. And guess who was in charge back then? We showed it last week.
Mr.
Fauci.
Senator. I'm not sure, Mr. Senator. I'll have to take the fifth on that one. Oh my God. Well, and I do agree with you to a certain extent on some of the things. I don't know. Well, I agree. I didn't like the nurses dancing in the TikTok. I don't know that they knew what was going on because when my son was actually in the hospital in maybe 22 with his stomach infection, we were there for like a week. This poor girl, our overnight nurse, I was talking to her about the stuff, and this girl was like, I think she was, 22, 23, rail thin, like skinny, skinny, skinny. And she's like, yeah, they basically made us take the shot. She goes, I took the shot, went home to my parents' house. I was like really hot, so I needed to take a shower. Next thing I know, my mother's waving in front of my face like, wake up, wake up, wake up. Apparently I took a shower and passed out. And then she said her like what she used to like to do on the side was I used to enjoy going for 5 or 10 mile jogs or runs. That was like my outlet, my pleasure. She says now walking to my car gets my heart rate like up to the moon, like crazy. She has to like pace herself walking to her car. So, I don't know that they all knew about it, but I would say, there's a lot of people that should have to pay for this. I'm not
the reaper on this, but you got to keep in mind that nurses were the probably injected the most amount of patients. So I get what you're saying. Also, there needs to be some intelligence. I mean, if I'm not a nurse and I knew it and you knew it and other, so there was a definite pushing and bullying, whatever you want to call it, to make people do this and buy into it. So and then you got people trying to say there's going to be another pandemic coming. So this was a bio attack on our nation, like I said, and that's how Trump was able to use the PEDs. It was during an election year, so unbelievable.
It's a live operation. Should have told us. Should have told us. I still don't know exactly what they were talking about in that clip with Pompeo and President Trump there in front of the COVID thing. But let's take a listen to Miss Gender Affirming or Gender Care Whistleblower, because this is, yeah, we don't need this stuff for sure.
The alleged fraud with taxpayer dollars work?
Well, in 3 ways. Number one is the hospital used the incorrect sex on the patient's medical record. Instead of stating the true biological sex on the patient's record, the hospital used the preferred gender identity of the patient. That's the first thing. The second thing is they used the patient's preferred name. And the third way is they misdiagnosed patients intentionally. They misdiagnosed patients who were struggling with their gender identity. They listed, for example, that a 15-year-old girl had a testosterone deficiency and a boy had an estrogen deficiency. A teenage boy had an estrogen deficiency. Now, of course, you have to remember that on the patient's official record, when a doctor goes in and looks, they're not seeing that it's a biological female or a biological male. They're seeing the preferred gender identity, and they're seeing a fake name. Now there's a false diagnosis that is attached to the patient's record. And so when the hospital goes and submits this claim for reimbursement to Medicaid, you can imagine how difficult it would be for Medicaid to ascertain that this is a fraudulent claim being submitted.
When you look at these records and you see that a teenage girl is being diagnosed with a testosterone deficiency, you're like, what? I mean, teenage girls don't have high levels of testosterone.
Right. But that was one of the ways that the hospital was skirting Texas law, because they needed the reimbursement from Medicaid. So to obtain that reimbursement, they had to use false codes.
Wow. That does make sense, dude. And they are diabolical.
Because you're wondering where the heck are these kids getting the money from and how? You're realizing it's not their parents paying for it. It's our taxpayer money paying for it. Yeah. Or their insurance company, which I highly doubt is covered.
Right.
So you take this kind of structure and then apply that to, how they kind of handled COVID. And you got to include the business of the masks, the business of the COVID tests themselves that were very faulty, and you had to shove them all the way up your nose right next to the blood-brain barrier.
Oh, yeah.
It was almost like they were also implanting something in you. You could have just spat, I think is the proper term, on something, and it would have told you. So there's a lot more to this than has been led on, and I think this is the first step in overcoming a lot of this, lies and crimes.
Yeah, dude, it's so bad. And we do have that video, but we're gonna cover this here really quick and then get to the response of this, because it's even worse, dude.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what Trump's reaction is to. So I'm glad you're playing this or showing this first, because it literally just came out, didn't it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And pretty recent, 5 hours before the show here. So a few different people are covering this here. Senator Ron Johnson. Remember the Russian disinformation agent, Senator Ron Johnson, that they were calling him when he was rightfully calling out these guys for what they were doing? They were calling him a Russian disinformation agent. And later on, dude, I can't believe that we'll touch what we talked about right before the show. Somebody else that was under investigation. These people went to absolutely every avenue that they could to try to stop President Trump in his first term. But this one here, Dr. Fauci was concerned in January of 21 that the second dose of the COVID shot, quote, theoretically could be associated with miscarriage in the first trimester. Senator Rand Paul and I released a text between Anthony Fauci, Rochelle Walensky, and Vivek Murthy below. While I've been conducting oversight for years, now that we have the documents in Fauci's government-issued phone, my investigation has only begun. And it's saying that this is from Fauci. I asked around a bit more, and another issue came up that you need to be aware of. Since many people have significant cytokine storms and fever after the second dose, that's theoretically could be associated, possibly, maybe, I'm not sure, with miscarriage in the first trimester. Unfrickin' real. But hey, as long as they didn't, go out and start reporting that stuff like that, that's no problem, right? Like, they didn't go out and tell people, a month later the opposite, did they?
Importantly, no safety concerns were observed for people vaccinated in the third trimester or safety concerns for their babies. As such, CDC recommends that pregnant people receive the COVID-19 vaccine.
Dude, that's like it's like a death sentence almost. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty damn close to a death sentence. Ugh, unfreaking real.
Yeah.
And you had found and clipped this, President Trump taking questiones after his little gaggle here.
Senators Rand Paul and Ron Johnson released some text messages from Anthony Fauci, and it appears that as early as January 2021, they knew that there could possibly be complications with pregnant women and miscarriages tied to the COVID vaccine. Yet the Biden administration health officials, they didn't change their rhetoric. Your reaction?
Well, the Biden administration was a disaster in every way. That would be just one way, but they have been a disaster in every single way. It's unimaginable what they did in that. Forget about weaponization. Forget even about, as important as what you're saying. So many of the open borders, the men and women's sports. They've just been a horrendous disaster, the highest inflation in history. And we're doing a great job.
Dude, it's absolutely ridiculous what they did here. But I think they absolutely need to make an example at the very bare minimum of Fauci, Walensky, Birx, Gates for sure. Redfield looked like he's been bagging on Trump for a while. I don't know, maybe he's a cooperating witness, but I think all these people need to get some serious comeuppance.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's all going to be, everything's connected to one another. So, I just consider COVID attached to the theft of the election of 2020 and then everything thereafter, because they didn't want Trump to be president. We know that. They wanted Hillary to be president.
Yes.
And they had everything in place to basically put the country on lockdown and introduce a pandemic based on COVID. They just sped it up because Trump was doing so well, and that's why they did it in the year of the election. So yeah. I think we know that Trump had figured out that something was on its way because of the executive orders he had signed.
And remember what he got called? He got basically called a racist because he wanted to he did shut down the border essentially, right? But they were calling him all sorts of things, and then they were welcoming people, which we played a few, in the last few weeks. I played it a few times where Pelosi in Chinatown, and then another Asian man in New York City, Chinatown, basically saying, "Hey, we're out here. Come on out. We're hardy people. Come see us. It's all cool." It's like, oh my God, it's horrible, dude. So this one here, Mac, I just added this one because Miss Herridge she says, further evidence, Fauci says one thing publicly and another. 34,000 texts, 522 voicemails, but she says he only had 3 contacts in his phone? What? Fauci only had 3 contacts?
That's crazy.
It's like, but you had that many messages. But it doesn't stop there, dude. Greg Price here posted out, during the Murphy versus Missouri lawsuit, it was revealed that the Biden CDC was sending daily emails to Facebook demanding they censor posts that raised concerns about the COVID vaccine's impact on pregnant women, which it now seems Fauci and Murphy agreed with privately. So this was, I mean, what do you think, dude? I mean, could this go towards the, bankrupting Meta, Facebook or whatever? I mean, they might be too deep in the pockets, but this should get them a heavy fine at the very bare minimum.
Yeah, I think in the end, because of Trump's executive order having to do, I think, with like investments in the United States by foreign countries, I think there's China and maybe a couple others. But in all this criminality, what if the people just absorb these companies and they end up being equally, owned as a fund almost? You know what I mean? Like it's almost like they've done so much criminality. That it's hard to shut them down because of who they are and not have an impact on, say, the digital markets and so forth, or even just the economy. That they end up seizing it in a way and giving it to the people. Like everything right now going back to the government, and as far as money's going through the sovereign fund, it's not even touching the federal bank. So,
Ooh, speaking of banks, I don't know if I should pull that.
but
thing
that's
up
just
there.
a thought. I've always had that in the back of my mind that a lot of these guilty companies, they would be somehow, they would pay us the reparations back based off of maybe their profitability, and that we'd kind of own them as the people. But I don't know. It needs
Right.
something has to happen. Yeah, so it can never happen again. That kind of thing.
I 100% agree that they need to, just basically echoing what you're saying, like, because right now the way it stands is, we had Sussman, right, who changed the email and he got essentially a slap on the wrist and whatever, and it was nothing. So people are thinking like, I can do whatever and get caught and I get no repercussions from it. So why am I going to not do something like that?
Well, I might have stumbled onto something. Whenever you want to get to it, it's in that graphic. But
Let's pop her up. Let's pop her up. I'm interested.
well, we discussed last week how all the stuff with the PEDS and the National Guard coming in, and how Trump reorged the FEMA and so forth, and the Insurrection Act was a question because he went through all the requirements, but we never really heard, and possibly because of the PEDS, it could have happened. Well, little did I know, and probably most of anyone, that when President Trump declared a crime emergency, that actually it provides a loophole where you can combine the Insurrection Act with the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. So let's start here, and I don't know if you can zoom in at all, and you can you want to read it, you're more than welcome to, or you want me to read it, however is easiest.
Yeah, I'll read the top here. I'll start here. National is as big as I can get this right now, but National Guard deployment to DC will last through Trump's term. That's interesting, right? President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to the nation's capital is being extended by more than 2 years and will last until the end of his term. The Pentagon confirmed the extension in an email Thursday, saying the mission will continue until January 20th of 2029 or until terminated by the president. The deployment was set to expire at the end of this year after previously being extended. The deployment in Washington, D.C. has been contentious since Trump issued an executive order in August of 25 to deal with what he called a crime emergency, calling up the Guard and additional federal law enforcement officers. The administration has said crime has rapidly fallen since then, although local officials have argued that crime was already going down before Trump ordered the 2,500 troops into the city. Sure it was, Mac. Sure it was. Let's see. So you added another clip here that says, when a national emergency is declared in the United States, it activates a specific legal framework primarily governed by the National Emergencies Act, or NEA, of 1976. This declaration does not create new laws, but rather unlocks over 130 statutory powers that Congress has previously authorized for use only during emergencies. And then you added in here a specific application to Washington, D.C. The deployment in D.C. utilizes a unique legal loophole not available in the 50 states, combining the Insurrection Act with the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. Oof, yeah, you're right, dude. I had no clue about this, brother.
Yeah, all right, so we'll stop right here. This is the foundation, I think, of how President Trump is now going to activate, or he already has, the how do I say this, operations, missions, he's sending National Guard into other states and into cities. And they're under, we'll cover this here in a second, but they're under different conditions. But we were always told, in the Q drops that the National Guard was called up for a reason. And they're possibly there to, do arrests. And
Yes.
based on the fact this is a crime emergency, Matt, in today's world, businesses that operate out of Washington, D.C. also extend to other locations, and it can even be international. So we're seeing what I would call an umbrella effect, and possibly surveilling and tracking the enemy, as well as getting ready to hunker down on these people, because we know that that communism's here. That they're cheating in the elections. That they're trying, I'll just say, shisty things. They've tried to assassinate our president. And I think President Trump, the FBI, Kash Patel, and so on are preparing, and they're currently in operations to prevent this. So every illegal that's basically taken out of the country, that was a voter, potential voter plus. They could have be a voter for 50 people. So we're taking out the most likely people that were committing these crimes and voting illegally and carrying out the illegal acts that needed to be done in order to, sabotage our elections and other things.
Yep.
It's all
And the funding.
like it's all connected, drugs, everything. It's all one big network that functions off of criminality.
Hell
And
yeah.
that's what. So let's continue here. I think
Let's
this
do
is very interesting.
Oh, it is for sure. Let's see. One, direct, and actually I feel like I got to say this quick, because you had mentioned how areas in DC kind of umbrella out to other ones, right? And why is this interesting? Because you have the 50 states and Washington DC. Well, if you start going into constitutionally and legally, the jurisdiction of these places, like say the state of Rhode Island, I get a speeding ticket for this road. Well, jurisdictionally and legally, the state of Rhode Island is within the DC. I have to go do some rechecking on this, but I'm 99.9% sure that's a correct statement. So that's the business center of this whole country. But don't fact check me on that one. All right, number one here. Direct presidential control, unlike state governors. The president serves as the de facto commander-in-chief in the D.C. National Guard. While the Home Rule Act generally limits federal control of D.C. to police and guard to 30 days during an emergency, the administration has argued that a continuous crime emergency justifies rolling extensions, or that the emergency status resets the clock, effectively allowing indefinite deployment without congressional approval. 2, federal function protection. The legal justification often cites the Constitution's Direct Clause, Article 1, Section 8, which gives Congress, and by delegation the President, exclusive legislation over the seat of government. The administration argues that high crime rates constitute a direct threat to the safety of federal employees and the functioning of the federal government, thereby federalizing what would otherwise be a local police matter. Yes. Gotta love that stuff. 3, suspension of posse comitatus. Normally, the Posse Comitatus Act forbids military troops from acting as police. However, the Insurrection Act is the primary statutory exception. By declaring a crime emergency, the president activates this exception, legally permitting National Guard troops to perform law enforcement duties, including arrests, which they recently argued in court they have the authority to do within the district. Heck yeah. Then we're going up to the top right here. It says, when a crime emergency is declared specifically in the context of the recent deployment in Washington, D.C., the legal justification relies on a specific intersection of federal statutes that treat severe domestic violence as a threat to federal authority. The legal mechanism, domestic violence as an emergency. The core legal argument for using a crime emergency to deploy the National Guard rests on the Insurrection Act, 10 U.S.C. 251 through 255, while the same term, quote, crime emergency, is often used politically. The statutory trigger is usually, quote, domestic violence or, quote, unlawful combination that hinders the execution of the law.
Real quick.
Sure.
He signed this, or let's see, August. You remember 88? How everyone's been talking about 88. August 8th of 2025 is when the tariffs began. So we took back control of our constitutional republic. Is how I look at it. And then on 8/11 is when he signed an EO saying that the cartels were terrorists. So we know the cartels not just are in the United States or in Mexico, they're in South America, they're all over the place, right? So that automatically covers it's in this.
Like it.
You know, yeah. So then it's an umbrella effect, it seems like. Could be wrong, but I feel like this research I've been doing, I'm pretty spot on. All right, let's continue.
Absolutely. Just reposting this. There we go. Bing. I thought I was here. All right, so I got that part. Now we're talking about presidential discretion. The Supreme Court ruled in Martin versus Mott back in 1827 that the president alone decides when the conditions for invoking the Insurrection Act are met. The statute does not define, quote, domestic violence, allowing the presidents to characterize high crime rates or specific criminal conspiracies as a form of insurrection or domestic violence that local authorities cannot control. And I would say they haven't been, right? They haven't been there, and they haven't been in Chicago either, so they probably need a clean sweep over there as well. But the quote, unusual and extraordinary threat. Under the National Emergencies Act, the president must declare an unusual and extraordinary threat by framing street crime as a systemic breakdown of order that impedes federal functions, especially in D.C. The administration bypasses the need for a traditional natural disaster or foreign attack. While the initial August 2025 emergency declaration was geographically limited to the District of Columbia, President Trump subsequently issued follow-up executive orders that leveraged the D.C. emergency to justify broader actions. Number one, mobilization of National Guard nationwide. In late August of 25, an executive order titled, quote, additional measures to address the crime emergency in the District of Columbia, directed the Secretary of Defense to establish a standing National Guard quick reaction force capable of rapid deployment to other U.S. cities where public safety is deemed, quote, lost. This order explicitly instructs the mobilization of Guard members from various states, creating a mechanism for federal intervention beyond D.C. without declaring separate emergencies for each location. 2. Business and regulatory impact. Legal analysis confirmed that while the emergency itself is local, the activated powers can impact businesses nationwide. Triggers frameworks that allow the federal government to investigate housing and transportation operations, influence government contractors and enterprises to the U.S. through new compliance, tied to federal funding and operations. I think he's doing all of these. Potentially waive certain regulatory statutes if the administration argues that local crime disruptions affect interstate commerce or federal supply chains. And then down the bottom here it says summary of scope, Washington, D.C., application direct and full, primary target of the Emergency Declaration and Home Rule Act invocation. Rest of U.S. has the indirect or expanded application. It requires a separate executive order, creating a nationwide quick reaction force, which has been done, I think, right? And then international, nothing for international. Domestic emergency laws have no extraterrestrial reach. UFOs. But dude, that is a hell of a find. And, you know,
now go to the bottom of the chat. Go ahead. What were you saying?
You know, with these national emergencies, we've been under so many different ones over the years, but this specific one that you pointed out and called out was it's specific. It looks like it's specifically tied to the crime thing there. This one right here.
Yeah, which would also be fraud. You know, crime's pretty big. You know, cheating on elections is crime. So, but this is pretty interesting as well. Look how many we got going on right now.
National Guard troops have been deployed or activated in multiple U.S. states and cities, primarily in response to civil unrest, immigration enforcement, and crime mitigation under Trump administration 25 and 26. States with National Guard activations. Geez, would it be easier to name the ones without? Alabama, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. No Rhode Island in there, dude. No Rhode Island in there. We have special forces. We have actually a special forces branch of the National Guard in Rhode Island.
Yeah, I think each state does have a National Guard. I think also the governor has to allow for the National Guard to come in. So I didn't check that part yet, unless it comes up in this other section. But and then you have the District of Columbia's in there. So here are all the states.
States with cities with confirmed or reported deployments. Yeah, Washington D.C.
These are the cities. Excuse me.
Yeah, Washington D.C., L.A., Memphis, Portland, Chicago, Charlotte. Additional cities mentioned. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This would be 13. These 3, 4, whatever that they listed in. But wasn't there one in the drops that talked about
12,
right? Yeah, 12 being. So, it says that these and maybe these or whatever, but additionally mentioned. So we'll see, but that is quite the find, dude. And, I think just like it was in the drops that talked about it really early.
Post 3.
Ooh, you got it.
You
Number 3.
Bring it up. Yeah.
The president has the power, ever since that Patriot Act. Like, they gave the president so much power. It's not even funny at this point. Okay, stop it. I hate this. When I put in 3 and then it wants to add a 4. I don't want the 4 on there. There we go. 3. Bing. All right, let's pop this bad boy up here.
What I kind of noticed over the years is they've kind of clouded what each branch does, so it makes it confusing. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make it fluid. So they'll by doing that, they confuse how the government works. They have to go to court. They have to write new laws. Lawyers get paid. Corruption can maybe slip through, as we've noticed. And a lot of times blackmail and money wins.
Wasn't this like a thing in this last week? Oh, I feel like there was one that was, right? It's the demons, essentially. It's not about Republicans versus Democrats. Specifically, this one's saying, at this stage, why is the National Guard called up across 12 cities? Where's Hillary? Where's Hillary? Where's Mitch McConnell? That's what I want to know. Did anybody get any proof of life from old Mitch today, or anything on him?
They're keeping silent right now. I think they're, like I said, August 3rd was that cutoff for the special election. Now, I mean, I don't know. They may keep him behind the scenes till, is he up for midterms? Is his spot?
Well, I think he's done anyway.
Yeah, so they probably just let him probably pass afterwards, I'm guessing.
Well, they said he really, I think it was the day after that was that cutoff day. I think it was the next day. They were like, "Oh, President Trump, not President, Mitch McConnell's, he's made a recovery. He's back at his house." And, they showed a doctor walking in, the Navy doctor or whatever, pretending like, "Oh, I'm just a guy, checking out the neighborhood or whatever." It's like, I want to see proof of life, bro.
Yeah, it's like they celebrated. They got away with it. That's how I took it. Like, oh yeah, he's here, August 4th.
All right, wait. I'm a little confused right now. Where is President Trump right now? He's in D.C., right? He's not in Turkey, is he?
Not that I know.
Because we just saw him. Because I'm, as me and you talk already, I'm always constantly scanning out and seeing if there's anything new. I think this sounds eerily to me, and I'll pop this up here, but this sounds eerily to me like what had happened last month. But he just said, just in. After publicly boarding Air Force One in Turkey, President Trump was secretly moved out of sight from the press to a nearby C-32A plane which he used to fly to the UK while there was a possible Iranian assassination plot. The usual Air Force One was the decoy. This was after he originally shifted from the new Air Force One. Not surprising if true, but who is leaking this to WAPO? Stories emerging just days after Hegseth exposed an alleged leaker surrounding the first Air Force One story. So is this a new one? Because this is new. This is like 28 minutes ago. This is...
Yeah, I guess this is when he traveled to Turkey. They're talking about another leaked incident. Remember they had to switch planes and they took the new Air Force One to a military base, showed friends and family.
Yeah, but then he mentions here, the usual Air Force, this is the one he originally shifted from the new stories emerging after the alleged leaker surrounding the first Air Force One story. So yeah, I think they are talking about the other one, but you know, who's the leaker? And they're saying it's a high up person. You know, some folks out there are out there pointing the finger at possibilities who they think it could be, but I think they need to use some misdirection, right? You tell, person A a story.
I think that's what they did.
Yeah, we're going to this location. Because you remember, dude, like what a big deal I made of it, and it kind of makes sense now to me anyways, why it was so confusing to me. When President Trump posted that day, right, he was like, oh, we're going to go take the new Air Force One to UK, and I'm going to show him the old one and then the new one. And I'm like, does anybody find this weird the way he kept saying that? And I think that, again, was due to this to kind of confuse people about what was really going on and what plane he was actually going to be on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was some obvious threats from Iran, maybe some other actors, I don't know. But there was some threats, and that's why they switched planes and they were doing all they were really trying to make it confusing. So
yeah, it's really weird.
I'm sure they gave intel to different people and then see where it landed, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's super odd, but I just thought it was weird, and now maybe we're seeing why. But clearly, to your point earlier, they are after him, and they're doing everything they can to get this guy out. And somebody made a comment in front of me the other day that I had to hold my tongue, because if I didn't, it would have just been a screaming match. But somebody said in front of me, oh, yeah, I voted for Trump, but I don't think I will again because he didn't get crap done in his first administration. And this one ain't looking so hot either. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, you people just don't see what's actually going on out there. Like what's really going on, what they really did to him. And the people that are just like, oh, he's going after his political rivals now. It's like, where were you for the last 10 years? It's actually amazing to me to see how it went over so many people's heads, and then they don't see. I always use that likeness of the movie, like, oh, it's always the one bad guy or one good guy that they're all trying to portray as bad. It's like that movie, like he's the guy and he's the star right now, but nobody seems to see it, bro. So I don't know. But you had mentioned also a little bit earlier, talking about illegals and stuff like that. And this was another. So remember, we had couple 100,000 people in the voter rolls in New Jersey or something like that. Well, this could also be another 175,000. Under the Trump administration, State Department has revoked 175,000 plus visas from foreign nationals who committed crimes, called for violence against Americans, defrauded citizens, or threatened national security. There is zero tolerance for those who break America's laws. Dude, did you see the one where the girl from like Canada smacked some girl from America and then she got deported because of it?
Yeah, it was great.
Right? Like, hey, you want to be in our country? Then, act accordingly. You know what I mean? Act accordingly.
Trump had another funny moment where he was calling out the people that come to our country and tell us how our Constitution is supposed to be ran. Do you have that?
I think that's the one. I think that's the one I put aside there. Yeah, hold on one. Pop this button up for the folks. How are you guys doing out there? Hope you guys are enjoying your Monday here. Radical leftists who want to get rid of the Senate. That's the one I got in the saved compartment. I don't know if this is the
That's
other
it.
one.
That's it. Okay. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in any event, it's a good one.
When you look at the radicalism and the craziness of the candidates and the stupidity of what they're suggesting, let's get rid of the Supreme Court, let's get rid of the presidency, let's get rid of the Senate. They want to get, sometimes I'd like to get rid of the Senate too, but I don't say it, and I wouldn't do it. But, they want to get rid of the Senate. They want to get rid of, ideally, the House, but they're thinking about maybe keeping the House, Isn't that nice? These are people that have been not successful. They're people that have been, in many cases, failures. They come from other failed countries, and they come here and they tell us how to run our country. They come from places like, I won't mention because I don't want to get myself into a controversy, but they come from countries that are not great. Come from, let's say, as an example, Somalia. They come in and then they tell us how our Constitution, how our Declaration of Independence, how it works. Doesn't work that way, and they're not smart. They have no aptitude. They have nothing going, and they're telling us how to run our country. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that they start off, now I may be wrong, but they start off with a big disadvantage. People don't want to have radical lunatics involved in running our country. And that's
someplace like, I don't know, Somalia. I love it. I love it, dude. That's freaking hilarious. But, to a certain extent, you want to get rid of some of these rhinos, of course, right? But they want to get rid of everything. Like, we don't need, we don't need police. What do we need those for? Supreme Court, pile them in, do whatever. That's why I said we need to, like the drop say, we need to be done right by the letter of the law. It's like, at this point, throw that crap out the window because they're going to do it, right? I don't think they're ever going to get power again. However, if they were to, they would never relinquish it because they would do everything that they're saying that we're trying to get pushed across. Like, packing the Supreme Court, we know they're going to the filibuster. They'll blast that sucker right out immediately so they can just do whatever the hell they want. So therefore, I feel like we should. But I think, at the end of the day, we'll get it done legally and lawfully. But of course, we want it just a little faster, right? But I'm enjoying the ride, the ride along the way here, because I realize at the end of the day, no matter what happens through this fine gentleman here or the administration, the people of the world, not only America, but people of the world are just brimming for a friggin' change. You know what I mean? Like, we all in this planet, I think, have similar sentiments. We just don't want to be harassed. We kind of want to be left alone and not be overburdened with things. You know what I mean? Like, I think most people want some simple things out there. But then again, we do have the psychopaths out there that don't think like normal human beings.
Yeah, I mean, we want like our hard-earned money to actually show up on our bank accounts and not be taxed to oblivion. Just for shits and giggles there. That'd be great. And it looks like, obviously President Trump's changed that. He's reinvesting in the country. Like I was saying earlier, everything's going back to a sovereign wealth fund that doesn't touch the federal bank. So,
yeah,
we are, and when he did that, when he started that tariffs on August 8th of 2025, he started like a new metric for how to run the country, and everything has been blowing the water out of any past data that they've had. So he's setting the standard, he's setting the bar so that future generations, in my opinion, can also have a model to follow, because he is saving the country, but we also have to keep it going with future leadership. And I mean, there's a lot of learning to do as president.
It sure is. There's a lot of stuff to learn. Well, dude, let me see here. With all this stuff with some of these folks here, like the radical Muslim, like they've been here for a while, right? But the idea that they're getting louder and they're getting even more ridiculous at this point, right? Like, I feel like Mandami was like dipping your toe, and then now you have like this Al Sayed guy that's connected with this other guy who, what he was saying, it was just a parody. It was a joke. How he said he wanted to have his Muslims flood the country and F your sisters and your daughters, and then we wanted to ruin the white race. It was all parody. He was like being cute. You know what I mean? Don't take that to heart. He was just kidding. None of that stuff's real. But I feel like
Yeah.
they're getting more ridiculous now because some of the people are just not seeing it yet, right?
What state was he in? El Said.
Geez, is he in Michigan, I believe.
Is he in Michigan?
Actually, I got this story from last week here, where
Abdul El Sayed's
here you go. Let's listen to a minute of this. This is from 5 days ago.
candidacy for senator in Michigan.
Yes, sir, it does.
Why is that?
Well, to begin with, I look at the connections that his father-in-law, Chakaku Tayyib, has to Brotherhood-linked groups. This includes being the president at one time of CARE Michigan, also his presence on the Islamic Society of North America Founders Committee, which is only for those most exclusively devoted to ISNA and provides significant amounts of funding. There are other known Brotherhood members on that committee. I would also look at El Sayed's ties to a group called MGage, which purports to be a Muslim sort of get out the vote or candidate recruitment organization, but it has close ties to CARE. It was created by a former CARE member who at one time was on a terror watch list and was also a consultant to convicted terrorist Sami al-Arian.
Seems like a nice guy, huh, buddy?
Do you believe?
So, and the funny thing is, he wins, and then you have this thing going on shortly thereafter.
Well, what state is he in again? Well, we know the Muslim Brotherhood, Michigan, right?
Yep, Michigan. Yep.
Okay. I still obviously think that some of the elections are fraudulent. You know, I don't think a lot of people are necessarily voting these people in. I think this is kind of exposing the theft as well as exposing what communism and what the Muslim culture, this radical Muslim culture, wants to do. I'm not saying all Muslim culture, but this particular group, Muslim Brotherhood, is there. I don't know if there's any other way of putting it, but them specifically, that group, infiltrated the Obama presidency.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they infiltrated or if he was just with them from the beginning.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. He appointed them, but essentially there was a tremendous amount of Muslim Brotherhood appointed inside of the Obama administration. And
Absolutely.
Q pointed it out. We know that Muslim Brotherhood is a huge proponent in this, and we're seeing it play out. Which, you know, Muslim Brotherhood's also Iran. So
big time. And
then Muslim Brotherhood is connected directly to London. So it's an arm of London. Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm loving that. And listen to this. And it's not just the fact of what he's talking about, Sharia law. I want you guys to pay specific attention of, I don't know how to say this, it's almost like the entitlement of how he believes what's going on is right for our country, like the United States of America. Like he's making it seem like, well, you know, I can't believe they're doing this stuff. It's so ridiculous to me. Listen to this dude. It's like a minute of the same dude here talking about Sharia law.
But I was reminded, actually.
Ouch.
About events that I remember because I was an adult when they happened. And that was question 755. When the state of Oklahoma voted in a referendum to amend the Constitution to ban Sharia law. What does that mean? I don't know. And yet the voters banned it anyway. What I offer today is just a reflection on the American history that runs through this state. You all sitting in this room, in this town, we're sitting in a space, in a time when I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
I'm just like,
For a reason.
what? Yeah, dude, like, what?
Go back to your country. Go back to Sharia law country. This is not that.
I don't want to hold a pitchfork up, you know, go back to your country, but go back to your country. Like, if you don't like it here, then you want Sharia law, go put it someplace else. But dude, like, he was talking about like The
But
Indians?
in like real life that I remember prior to this, like COVID, these guys wouldn't even gotten to political office because of their criminal background.
Yep.
You know, we shouldn't be here. So, you know, either we're living in the twilight zone, there's something bigger going on that has to be played out, and we've gone over that latter option that has to be played out, has to be this way. Mention, by the way, Elon's repost of that video.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're actually going to get to that one right next. I'm going to play this one.
Okay, so just keep in mind it had to be this way.
Yes, it did, and that was my repost too. My queuing, my one queuing. But this one I sat back on for a little bit because I'm like, this has got to be fake. And then no, it's actually real. But again, to my point, guys, it's parody. I don't know if they bleep it in this particular clip because I've heard it so many times I didn't have to proof listen to it. But if you have any young ones, they might say the F word a couple times, so just keep that in mind. Here we go. It's only 10 seconds, guys. So earmuffs for any little kids for 10 seconds, guys.
We're going to keep bringing in immigrants in this country on purpose, just so they can fuck your sister and then maybe even your daughter. We're going to destroy the white race, bitch. That's what we're here to do.
So that kind of goes in the basket of the comedians in like 2009 to 12 on Twitter talking about, you know, pedo stuff but it was comedy. I'm just doing parody stuff. I'm a comedian. It's funny. That's what he was saying. This is all just a parody. This is how you all view us. And it's like, well, if you didn't have people screaming this in other countries, in, you know, an Irishman's face in that one example, oh, we're going to out birth you. You guys, what, 1, 2, maybe 3 kids? We have 5, 6, 7. You will be the minority soon, and we'll kick you out. Sounds like a familiar pattern repeating over and over and over, Mac. And I know for one, and I'm pretty sure you're for two, and a bunch of folks in the chat that don't want that to happen here either. It's just ridiculous. It's just comedy, bro. It's just comedy, man. I don't know why everybody's got all pissed off about. It's just, you know, it's just a parody. See, let me see. Where'd you go? All right, Mac. So I'll pop this one up here. I had a few. Oh, I don't know. I grabbed one of these the other day, dude. I thought I'd just show the folks. Dr. Squatch made a Freedom Fresh. It actually smells pretty good. Let me see. Where's my reposting?
What is that?
It's soap. Dr. Squatch. Wait, what's going on? Dude, what is going on? Did I must have put a bad post in or something like that. Let me pull it up here. Johnny Q's post. You'll see here in 1 second, guys. Johnny Q.
Do you need it? Because I got it.
I have the friggin' link, but
the link's there too. So just click on the.
That's crazy.
You can. Right. I don't know if you can edit it in yours, but it's in the chat. Other chat.
Here we go. Yes, sir. Let's see. Hopefully. Dude,
wow,
it's gone.
I took it down. Well, I had the video recorded there, so you can play it.
Nice. So I think maybe it was from what we were talking about, his post that I read right before we came online.
Yeah, he didn't want any of the attention. So
interesting. Yeah. So I'm gonna pull this video out of our chat here, guys, on the Telegram. But like Max said, this video was uploaded, and
the
Elon
screenshots right there on the left.
And this is the video on the right here?
Yes, correct.
All right, perfect. So here it is, showing you guys proof that it was done. Johnny Mnemonic says Elon Musk reposted this, and the title of the video is "It Had to Be This Way." And you notice all sorts of Qisms on this. But like Max said, I was just going, and what I also had noticed on his account is there's other ones, like "It Had to Be This Way." I forgot what the other ones, but they were common Q sayings. He made a couple of other videos like this as well. And the only negative I have to say about this is the Bono song. Other than that, great video. Let's plop this out here. Here we go. Dude, I would say if you don't want attention, then don't make a Q video.
That Elon post.
Right? I don't know if he made this with Grok or whatever. That would be my guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
probably.
That's maybe why he's spreading it out. But yeah, very many Q-isms in there. And if you go to his account, like I said, there's one on top of the next on top of the next. But very, very cool stuff. And again, yeah, don't post QE stuff if you don't want stuff to go viral, because it could and very well may go pretty viral. I gotta see if I can find that dude's account. Mac, did you get offered for the money cash or whatever, X money yet?
No, I haven't. No.
So check this out, right? I checked my bank, and I guess most banks are like this now. Banks now, do you know what they pay for APY on a checking account? I was like, are you kidding me? It's like 0.1% or 0.01% or something ridiculous. So at the end of the year, if I put $1,000 in there, I would have $10. I believe it was 10 cents or something like that. I think I would make. So I think it was 0.01% or something like that, right? These X money accounts, if you have regular premium, you're going to get 4%, and premium plus, you're going to get 6%. So I've had $17 or $22 in there for about a couple of weeks, and I've already made like 4 cents on interest, which is, on pace to blow out the $1,000 in a checking account, which doesn't make sense. So
I don't have a subscription, so I'm not a paying customer.
Oh, look at this! And this
I'm a little scarred and hurt from when they censored me before. I have not received an apology or anything. I just got reinstated. So I don't know. I'm kind of just, I've thought about it, but to subscribe, but not. I haven't been offered the money aspect at all.
Dude, you want to hear something hilarious? We're getting bombarded with absolute trolls right now. Expert debater, yeah, good name. Haven't gotten a Doge check or a tariff check yet. Guess what, jerk off? Our side, we don't look for handouts. We're not sitting here waiting like, oh, where's my Doge check? Where's my check coming? That's your side. You guys look for the handouts. We don't do that. We're not waiting for handouts. That's the best you got, really? Doge checks? You got your Doge checks? That's what people are concerned about. And that's apparently, they keep coming in here, and I guess the mods are telling me that it's been for like the last half hour, dude. So I guess we're over the target. Oh, yeah, dude. And I've taken out 2 myself. I've seen a handful taken out just in, look at this, dude. Look at this. Look at ding, ding, ding. Watch all the down the bottoms here, or where the hell was I? Wherever I was reading, there is an absolute shart-load of deleted messages that are on there now. You can see this. See, remove. And no, sorry guys, we didn't get our Doge check yet. But guess what? I still live and I still move on, and I'm not sitting there waiting for the government to take care of me. Like, Daddy, you gonna come take care of me? Give me a free check for something that I didn't deserve? No, we're not looking for that. Unfreaking real. Hey, I wonder if these people that are in the chat want to talk about Fauci and all the lies that they told us. You guys happy about that? You guys still back in Fauci after all this stuff? I didn't think so. The funny thing is, some of them will actually try to for some reason, and I don't understand why. Yeah,
it's a distraction technique. So done by the networks out there, very well versed.
Yes, so. And thank you, Mr. Red Pill 78 for rating us a little while ago. Appreciate that, brother. And Mr. MacGyver dropped a $2 super chat on YouTube, and he is bidding us a good evening, Patriots, and a good evening to you, Mr. MacGyver, as well, sir. All right, let's see what else other fun we can get ourselves into here today, because we got a bunch of stuff. All right, we already talked about gonna F your sisters and your mothers and da-da-da-da-da. All right, Oh,
I found it. What do you got on the agenda here?
Well, go ahead. If you found,
go ahead.
What'd you find?
It was going to be a segue. So whatever you got.
Segue away. Go right ahead. Because
I found it very interesting that the storm was called this week by someone on X.
Oh shit! I didn't even pull that one, to be honest with you.
Not even a week after we covered it on the show, and I know that there's other people as well that have recently covered it as well. But Lieutenant General Mike Flynn has declared the storm. Now, anybody who's followed Q know that there's a specific wording verbatim that needs to be said. So, I don't understand why there's a storm in his world, but the person to be calling the storm would be President Trump, because he was asked in, what was it, the White House, "What storm, Mr. President?" And he said, "You'll find out."
You'll find out. Absolutely. And this was in the on the heels of what I would say would have been a failed dipping your toe and to see if you wanted to be president from Patrick Byrne last week. And he got pretty bad ratioed in the chat when he was asking folks about that one. So maybe he needed to kick things up another notch or something like that. I don't know, dude. It just looks weird to me, dude. It does look weird. And I don't know. I've been like down the middle.
Yeah, but it's like so early. I mean, we had Trump's rest of his term. He's even posting that he's running in 2028, which we've been over. We think he is very possibly could do it because he's still on his first term right now. So why would you do this to divide what we have established? And
Already.
a lot of people, as you see on the right, are some big accounts that have followed him up to a certain point. I followed him up to a certain point until, like I said, I read the the Michael Flynn Middle East Marshall Plan, and that opened up my eyes. So everyone's got like a little story behind Flynn and his network that's been there. I've been a target.
Can you describe that? Can you describe that at all? What that Middle Eastern Marshall Plan, what it was?
They were in a quick synopsis. I can actually pull this up. You can look at the PDF. It was General Flynn, Jared Kushner, and I got to pull it up. They were devising a plan that would include Russia and the U.S. and possibly Israel and another country or two into a nuclear program. And when you start diving into it, the players that were involved, one was George Nader, who was a Mueller witness, but he's also a pedophile, convicted pedophile.
He may have been in one of the drops.
He worked closely with Eric Prince. Not saying Eric Prince is bad, but this all happened, and he pushed this in the time frame that he got fired with Trump. And there's a PDF here. I'm going to forward this to you so you can maybe pull up the PDF. Yeah, because it's very detailed, and it's confusing unless you you got to sit down and realize who's all at play. And during this, and Flynn lied to Pence about talking to the Russians. And so this had to do also, and it had to do with sanctions, but in the background, Flynn's pushing the Middle East Marshall Plan.
Interesting.
And Steve Bannon's involved. It's got a plethora of people, but if you click that PDF link, it'll pull up on that post that I put.
I'm just going off memory here really quick, and I don't know because I know there's actually two dudes that are named George Nader, and I'm pretty sure it's this guy or this guy. It's one of the two. I'm pretty damn sure. So that name you just said, George Nader, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure. Dude. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine.
he was in the drops though. First show. Let's see.
Up a little bit. Oh, yeah. Go to that PDF link. See the PDF with right there.
Perfect. Boom. The Moscow Project. Middle East Marshall Plan explained. Mueller investigation is pursuing investigative threads related to UAE and possible corruption that seemingly have little connection to an investigation into collusion with Russia, but these two investigative threads may in fact be directly connected by way of the Middle East Marshall Plan backed by Michael Flynn. There has been intense speculation about a mysterious meeting in the Seychelles between representatives of the Trump administration and Russia. Right before Trump's inauguration, Eric Prince, a prominent Trump backer and founder of the Blackwater private security company, met with UAE Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, MBZ, not MBS, George Nader, a lobbyist for the UAE, a lobbyist for the UAE lobbyist, who is now cooperating with the Mueller investigation, and, dude, Kirill. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Very
I know.
interesting.
I've known this for a little bit.
Russia Direct Indirectment Fund, Russia's sovereign wealth fund. Washington Post reported March, according to people familiar with the matter, the meeting was an effort to establish a back channel between the incoming administration and the Kremlin. Back channel explanation certainly fits an established pattern. Kushner just a month earlier had suggested to one Russian ambassador using their Washington embassy, but this explanation is difficult to comprehend for a few reasons. Why involve an outside third party like the UAE when Trump associates and the Kremlin were already secretly meeting about creating a back channel? Trump's associates were already in frequent touch with the Russians, with at least 2 direct meetings and at least 5 phone calls between Trump transition team and the Kremlin in just December alone. If a back channel is going to be as secret as possible, why include outsiders? Why would MBZ, one of the most powerful leaders in the Middle East, be involved? MBZ would be one who communicates through a back channel. Setting them up is beneath his stature, while the UAE would want the Russians to change its Middle East policy. As the Washington Post suggested, if MBZ wanted that communicated, he would do so directly to the leadership of the U.S. and Russia, not through lower-level intermediaries. Setting up a back channel may have been an objective of this meeting, but it seems doubtful that it was the objective. In fact, the New York Times just reported the meeting was, quote, brokered in part to explore the possibility of a back channel. So what's the other part? One possibility is that they were there to cut a deal. So this goes on for another 5 or 6 pages here. I wonder if I can maybe do some highlights.
Yeah, maybe
here.
at the bottom, I think it might summarize it a little bit.
Middle East Marshall Plan would have been an excuse to remove sanctions against Russia. The deal would involve potentially hundreds of billions in profit. Why Eric Prince would care, why Tom Barack would care. Not a good dude. And
yeah,
I think
he
was in the
involved
drops
directly. Yeah,
wasn't he the guy? Wasn't he the guy in the drops that? Wasn't he the guy in the drops that was like crossing the street in China? Tall blonde guy. I'm just going off again. I'm going off of memory.
I can't remember, to be honest with you. I have to look it up.
I mean, come on, dude. It was only 8 years ago. You can't remember. why Russia would care?
While you're reading.
Okay, the deal would also involve massive investment in Russian state-owned companies, which would explain why the CEO of RDIF, Kirill, was at the meeting. Okay. Dmitriev is close to Putin and is charged with shepherding foreign investment into Russia. There was an economic policy and a geopolitical incentive pushed to implement January 20th at 12:11 p.m., 11 minutes after Trump was sworn in what was likely his first act as National Security Advisor. Flynn, according to a whistleblower who spoke to Congress, allegedly texted Alec Copson, the managing partner of ACU, saying, "Good to go." If Flynn was, quote, good to go and ready to start implementing the plan on day one, what kind of groundwork had been laid during the transition? The dizzying timeline of meetings and contacts during the transition tracks with a concerted effort to push the Middle East Marshall Plan. November of 2016, ACU pushes the plan to Flynn. ACU, I want to look up that one later. December 1st or 2nd, Flynn and Kushner meet with Kislyak in Trump Tower, where Kushner suggests using a back channel through the Russian embassy. December 5th, Flynn and IP3's McFarlane are photographed in the Trump Tower lobby together. December 13th or 14th, Kushner meets with Sergei Gorkov, head of RDIF was spun off from VEB, in Trump Tower. There are differing explanations for this meeting, with Gorkov saying Kushner was representing his family's company and Kushner saying the meeting was unrelated to personal business. Of course, the Middle East Marshall Plan involved both. December 14th and 15th, Gorkov then flies to Japan, where Putin is on an official visit. December 16th, Flynn, Kushner, and Bannon have a 3-hour meeting with MBZ in Trump Tower. The meeting irked the Obama administration, as MBZ did not notify them of his trip to the U.S. December 29th, Flynn has 5 calls with Kislyak, where they discuss sanctions. The conversation prompts Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates to later express concerns about Flynn's underlying conduct. Flynn talked favorably about the deal with Tom Barak, head of the inauguration. January 11th, Seychelles meetings occur. The Intercept reports that Alexander MaQaveli, a Kazakh businessman linked to a shady Trump investment vehicle known as Bayrock, also arrived to meet with Zayed, who was holding court at his mansion on the island, according to source familiar with the meetings. Abdul Rahman Khalid bin Mahfouz, a Saudi billionaire whose grandfather founded the first Saudi private bank and whose father allegedly helped Al-Qaeda, was also present. Yeah, we started Al-Qaeda, by the way. January 17th through 20th at Davos World Economic Forum, Scaramucci meets with Dmitriev. He also gives an interview to the Russian news outlet TASS as a Trump advisor, disparaging sanctions and suggesting U.S. and the Russia have a common objectives. January 20th, 12/11, texts good to go. General Flynn texts good to go. Copson also reportedly says that, quote, Mike has been putting everything in place for us and that, quote, this is going to make a lot of very wealthy people. He also allegedly says that Flynn planned to, quote, rip up sanctions upon entering office. So in the first week of office, he pushed to get the plan approved. Shocking NSC staffers received an email from McFarlane in 2017 containing documents outlining the plan and a draft memo for Trump's signature. Flynn told National Security Council staff to formalize the proposals for Trump to sign. Reuters reported 2 U.S. officials said the Flynn policy document was about working with Russia. In response, career officials on the National Security Council notified the National Security Council lawyers about Flynn's potential conflict of interest. Harvey, according to ProPublica, even discussed a proposal with Tom Barak and his representative, the now indicted Rick Gates. Remember, this article was written a while ago. Barak was rumored to be under consideration for a top Middle East job, but instead of going into the administration, he and Gates were reportedly, quote, seeking investment ideas based on the administration's Middle East policy, such as by investing in U.S. nuclear weaponry, company, Westinghouse. After Flynn was fired, Derek Harvey, the senior director for Middle East, who joined Devin Nunes, House Intelligence Committee staff after he was later fired from the National Security Council, continued to push the plan. The scheme ultimately lost momentum as the Russia scandal exploded. Flurry of activity around the Middle East Marshall Plan in the crucial first weeks of the new administration demonstrate the priority that was given by Flynn and others. And since this was prioritized from day one, it's reasonable to assume it was prioritized during the transition. Middle East Marshall Plan involved lifting Russian sanctions, a key desire of the Kremlin, obviously. Was this follow through on a quid pro quo, lifting sanctions in return for Russian interference in the 2016 election? No, it was not. Scheme also involved hundreds of billions of dollars and would have generated enormous profits for the individuals and companies involved. If this scheme was pushed with MBZ at the Seychelles meeting, it would have immediately signaled that this White House can be influenced by money. As Mueller investigates Russian collusion with Trump campaign, he may also be coming across other compromising entanglements involving Trump figures, prompting an investigative thread into official corruption. The timeline of activity around the Middle East Marshall Plan during the transition shows that this was a priority for Flynn. We may soon find out this was a priority for the Seychelles meeting too. So that's very interesting, dude. And to be honest with you, I didn't really know that there was this business thing. And who is the UAE? Not UAE, I know is a country, but there was 3 initials there. And I'm guessing this was ACU. Can't be a American Civil, no. ACU.
I don't know. I don't hit that link that says pushes. It brings up all this document's pretty good because it usually brings up an article.
Mideast nuclear plan backers bragged of support of Trump aide Flynn.
So there's a lot. There's a lot to this, and during this, Flynn was being investigated by the FBI. He had a counterintelligence case since August of 2016. So when it sounds like in this, in addition, that it was going to be used in the Russia hoax case to further entangle Trump.
Very possible.
Now Kushner has been alongside Trump since the beginning, and he seems to be pretty loyal. So I'm curious, through all this, what broke down but the timing of all this coming in, only lasting 23 days, finding out he lied about, talking to the Russians. He also had been paid by the Russians, and I don't believe it was disclosed on on FARA. And then in addition, when he was investigated and interviewed by the FBI, he didn't have a lawyer present, and the person that interviewed him was Peter Strzok. And they took that testimony and they ran with it, and it caused a huge, distraction, and
big time.
and it furthered the Russia collusion narrative. So, these guys are very, very diabolical in how they plan all this stuff out. So, not just did that happen, but Q had also mentioned the rubber bullet part, which in a rubber bullet scenario, it stings at first, you heal, and there's no, long lasting implications thereafter. So you take a rubber bullet. So,
Yeah. And dude, this puts a little more context into, what was going on, because if you think about it, right, like, did he know that they were going to go after President Trump for the Russian collusion thing? Like, was he aware of this? Because if that was the case, then, like you said, this kind of is like an extra feather in their cap to go after Trump, right? Because, oh, you may have been working with these people. Like, maybe they were trying to set it up to where it was looking like that, That's a possibility. And actually,
Yeah.
Matt, let me read this. This is funny. And thank you, Jim VK1071 on Rumble, who dropped a $47 Rumble rant. And the comment is hilarious. He says, Space Shot 76, this is for the mods working their asses off because we still have a bunch of momos. And I'm just putting the message out. Mods, just look for stupid names. The guy we just got rid of was the United States of BB. And remember a couple of years ago when they came in with like Melania's stinky crotch and Marjorie Taylor Greene's horse face, and they're just pretty obvious with their names. So, but hey, thank you for the extra views, guys. All you trolls are just giving me extra views on my videos, so I do appreciate that. Schmucks. But dude, yeah, this, and again, I've been, the whole way had the 3 stars, 2 stars or whatever on my account. And then I was like, it doesn't look good, looks bad. Then I went back to looking more good than bad. Now I'm kind of on the more bad than good side again. And again, I'm not certain of anything. And I don't know if that's, this may be how this was meant to be laid out. And again, I don't know. You know what I mean? But I think you do lay out some compelling points for the negative side of things, for sure.
There's more, too. There's another PDF here. McCain, no name, was behind this. He was also in support. There's a lot.
The Marshall Plan?
Yeah. So Cindy McCain was, supportive.
Oh, wow.
It's interesting. But that's when I started questioning. Back to the point, that's when I started questioning things, and there were some people that still podcasters that were pretty deep, and I could see the network and what was going on. These people play both sides. They play all sides. It's pretty immaculate and diabolical at the same time, but. I had to live through it, and what you realize is that the truth is really what is going to win, even though you can have somebody tell you no, you're wrong 1,000 times in your face, and you can show them the evidence, and just because they don't want to believe it, they don't think it's true. So, with that being said, this movement is about the truth and getting down to the bottom of it. No matter who it is, what's involved, we're trying to figure this out. Because we know something's going on, and we know we're beating the bad guys, and we're trying to identify who the bad guys are and what they're up to, and why they don't like Trump, why they don't want to fix America, all this stuff. So we're in the mix of a propaganda war amongst other things going on as far as a war is concerned. So I don't know if you want to read this, but I was just providing another document that they go through it too. And so, like I said, you can put that in the chat, let people read it. I haven't looked at it in a while. I've kind of moved on because I was asking all these questions and no one could answer them.
I gotcha. Yeah, and it's,
so it's one of those things no one wants to talk about.
Nobody wants to talk about. I looked this guy up quick. Amitai Ezatoni, it says, a university professor and professor of international relations at the George Washington University. I think I had it up here as well, but it says he was like he's a Israeli American sociologist. Apparently, he passed away in 2023 as well. But I will drop that for the folks in the chat. And
yeah, and the other one, because all the blue lettering have links that take you to different places. And you can start digging on your own, but it is pretty crazy.
It is wild, and we'll see at the end of the day, what of this gets out. And I'm dropping this in all the chats right now. There you guys go. It's a Columbia.edu PDF at the very end, and you just saw me open it up, so it's good to go. Oh, just like somebody we know, good to go. But yeah, this whole stuff is so wild, right? And this is just bringing me back to like some of the memories of thinking some of these things back then. And while I have the mic, thank you to Debbie for passing this message along, because I do get the messages on like the super chats, but gifted subs, for some reason, I do not get those messages from YouTube. So thank you, Mr. MacGyver, who he gifted out it looks like 1 or 2 memberships over there. So 2-month membership. So thank you for that, sir. I do appreciate that. Let me see. I wanted to pull up one more from, oh God, then we got to touch on the friggin' Hunter and Tucker crap, dude. That's going to be friggin' wild. That's friggin' wild. Where is the one that I had to link? Because we're talking, oh wait, here we go. So all of these people that they were dealing with, right? All of these different investigations that we had, we were told back then too that they had a FISA on, I think it was Ted Cruz as well, right? But dude, this one was really weird for me to hear today. Operation March Troll. March Troll. Okay, well, what the hell is this about? Well, let's go back here. 8 hours ago, John Solomon reported, today the White House Government Transparency Task Force released records declassified by President Trump showing how the FBI in May of 2017 opened a criminal probe against Attorney General Jeff Sessions into whether he made false statements. The probe was codenamed March Troll. The probe was opened in the same 24-hour window as the Oxford, spelled with Oxferd, investigation that claimed without evidence that Trump fired FBI Chief James Comey because he was acting as a Russian asset. Both referred to Special Counsel Robert Mueller. And dude, at the end of the day, like, I still am so dumbfounded as to what Robert Mueller, I've asked this question numerous times, and of course, it's only going to be guesses because we don't know at this point. But when President Trump says, oh, Robert Mueller came begging for his job, he wanted to be the FBI director, everybody in this world knows that FBI directors have a limit of 10 years now after J. Edgar Hoover was, for what, 30, 40 years, cross-dressing in the back closets over there. They were like, yeah, enough's enough. We got to put term limits on these guys. 10 years to term limits. Well, old Robert Mueller managed to be the FBI director for 12 years somehow because they needed him during, wartime or whatever it was. But they extended him 2 years. So he had already been FBI director for 12 years. He could not even have been the FBI director again. So again, why did he meet with President Trump early on in his first administration, dude? Like, was this setting the piece for how he was going to come in later as special counsel? Like, these are some of the weird questions that I want to know, like more than some of probably the most obvious questions other people want to know.
I don't know if you played the clip or I saw it recently, the past couple of days of Mueller answering that question, and he kind of passes over it. He goes, "Did you get interviewed? Why'd you get interviewed by Trump prior when you couldn't have been hired?" He's like, "That's not what happened from my recollection." So I think he was implying that the conversation had to do with something else that Q's implied, and we still kind of don't. I don't know what it is. You say you don't know what it is. I don't think that they've released that yet.
Yeah, it's wild. But dude, it's like, who wasn't under investigation? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the whole umbrella effect with the FISA that I think Trump's just fixed. And he was also using that as a weapon against the deep state. You know, it works both ways. So at the bottom of the chat, there's that article about Jeff Sessions. If you could read, I think there's a part where they kind of entrapped him to recuse himself, it sounds like. Evidence.
Very possible. Let me see here. Let me undo this one for you guys. All right, so FBI opened probe into Jeff Sessions. Democrats requested it, even after he updated his testimony. FBI opened a probe into Jeff Sessions in May of 2017 for potentially making false statements to Congress about Russian contacts, even though he had already updated the disputed testimony. See what scumbags? The evidence to support the probe, codenamed March Troll, and opened one day after FBI Director James Comey was fired by President Donald Trump, was a weeks-old letter from Democrats and an article from a liberal news site, the memo show. The Bureau's investigative files into the Sessions matter were declassified by President Donald Trump and made public Monday by the White House Government Transparency Task Force. Dude, I literally mentioned Sessions probably twice in the last 2 weeks. Like I said, I feel like he's coming back into the scene. Maybe on this show last week. I don't know. But interesting that Trump had declassified it this week. Hi, Don. Hey, Dad. The investigation was predicated on evidence contained in a March 20th, 2017 letter to Comey from two Democrat senators on the judiciary, Patrick Leahy and Al Franken. Big surprises. The senators argued that Sessions made false statements in his confirmation hearing about the hearing earlier that year when he testified about communications with members of the Russian government. Trump administration told reporters at the time of the investigation raises concerns because it was opened right after Comey's firing and more than a month and a half after the Democrat senators wrote to the FBI. Codename, so they were talking about how they covered codename Oxford Comma last week. New elected president may have been acting as a Russian asset when he fired Comey. FBI's probe into Sessions for possible false statements has been public since 2018, when Sessions' lawyer told the media that special counsel Robert Mueller's team had interviewed the attorney general and decided not to move forward. Mueller, who was appointed to investigate allegations of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia shortly after Comey's firing, concluded in his final report that his office could not prove Sessions was willfully untruthful. Mueller's Russia collusion probe has since been discredited. An investigation by John Durham, released by the Biden Justice Department in 2023, concluded there was no basis for the FBI to even open the original Crossfire Hurricane investigation into allegations of Russian collusion. For example, in January of 2017, Sessions told lawmakers that he, quote, did not have communication with the Russians. When asked whether anyone affiliated with Trump's campaign communicated with that country's government, later reporting shows that Sessions met with the Russian ambassador to the United States on at least 2 occasions during the Trump campaign and while he represented Alabama in the Senate. Sessions sent a letter to the Senate Judiciary on March 6th to supplement his prior testimony, confirming that he did, in fact, meet with the Russian ambassador during the campaign season, but that his answer, quote, I did not have communications with Russians, was truthful because Franken asked about a continuing exchange of information during the campaign between agents of the campaign. I did not mention communications I had with the Russian ambassador over the years because the question did not ask about them.
See what they did.
Yeah, they basically, like right here, as you see in this, it was not enough to satisfy Leahy and Franken, who then wrote Comey, raising concerns about Sessions' statements to their committee and accusing him of possibly committing perjury. Quote, we are concerned by Attorney General Sessions' lack of candor to the committee and his failure thus to accept responsibility for testimony that could be construed as perjury. Leahy and Franken, members of the judiciary, wrote to Comey on March 20th of 17. However, the FBI did not act on the letter until the day after President Trump fired Comey, citing a Justice Department belief that Comey mishandled the Hillary Clinton email investigation. The department's own independent inspector general would later conclude that Comey violated longstanding department practice and protocol with his conduct in the Clinton case. Opening memo shows the investigation into Sessions was first opened at the FBI's Washington field office. Big surprise. At the direction of headquarters, solely predicated on the March 20th letter from Senators Leahy and Franken, File also noted that Comey notified then Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein on April 28th that the case would be opened. Not until May of 23 was Sessions' supplementary testimony added to the investigative file, in which the Attorney General argued that he had been truthful to the committee about his contacts. That same day, agents added 2 open source articles, one from Huffington Post and another from National Interest, as evidence of an alleged third meeting between Sessions and Russian Ambassador Kislyak. Meeting allegedly took place during an event at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C., hosted by the Center for the National Interest. Then candidate Trump delivered a foreign policy speech at the event. So what do you think, dude? They were...
So how does this relate is what I'm sure people are wondering. Well, Todd Blanche is stepping into the AG position. Sessions was forced to recuse himself because of the reasons we just went over. Will Todd Blanche, will they force him to recuse himself because of the investigations coming up as a lawyer with President Trump? And what is going to happen? I'm curious because I feel like, as we've read here, they're trying any kind of investigation possible to try to slip up President Trump, get him out, do whatever, make sure he's not president, or at least a functioning president that doesn't have to deal with lawsuits and drama. So huge distraction and a coup attempt. Let's keep that in mind. It's still a coup attempt here.
Wait, that almost sounds exactly like that they were saying that they were going to try to do to Fauci the other day. All they want him to do is testify so he can slip up and It's like, yeah, but the difference is we know 100% this guy lied. That's the difference. We know he lied.
Yeah, so in pleading the fifth, he's ignoring his pardon. I don't know how it works out in interpreting the law, but doesn't that kind of hint at the fact that you're hiding something guilty and you should be telling the truth, but he's not? So he's complicit in a crime that he's protecting others, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
And how is that going to be handled by all these lawyers that are congressmen and women?
And
or is it being is it being pushed off to the grand conspiracy? I don't see that. That's where we're all chomping at the bit to find out.
Absolutely. And the other side there, Republicans just elevated Blanche, a man who protected a convicted child predator, to lead the Department of Justice. Republicans have lost the moral high ground on protecting children forever. Like, dude, they still can't see it for what it is. Like, that's a big one for me, that they can't see, like, that Trump was trying to bring out the files, and then nobody gave a rat's ass about it. And then when he was like, what's this, Democrat hoax, still Epstein? We need to see the files. We need to see the files. And they're all out. I mean, he talked about it the other day. Blanche talked about it the other day, how basically everything is out. All the senators have access to every piece that's in there, unredacted. And then, if you guys think that there's more that needs to be released, then let me know. But he said basically the senators and congressmen, they could, basically check into these things to see what he's saying is true. And again, you got to be the biggest idiot on the face of the planet, being Donald Trump, if you had anything to do with that stuff. And then while nobody's talking about it in 15 and 16, you go out on stage on CPAC and say, oh, Epstein or Clinton's going to have a lot of problems with that island. Prince Andrew. It's like, wait. If you had anything whatsoever to do with that, you would never mention that. And I don't think he's a dummy. So, he brought that out to the world. And nobody else wanted to see it. Apparently. Let me see here. All right, dude. Are we going to have to do it? We're going to have to do it, I think. Actually, you know what? Let's do this first before we go into any crazy town stuff here. This is actually very big, dude. I think this is, let's listen to 40 seconds here.
So now Kipler says that crossings through the strait hit a 3-week low. 8 ships in the past 24 hours. U.S. companies now trying to make plans to transport oil around that part of the world. A Chevron executive tells Fox Business they will sign a memorandum of understanding today with Iraq to enter into 2 Iraqi oil fields and doing studies to move oil from Iraq north around the strait, possibly through the Mediterranean Sea. This is all meant to add that global oil supply, avoiding the issues. Now, oil prices, WTI is about $80 a barrel. We'd like to see that lower, and that's what the president and these companies are trying to push for. Back to you.
Okay, Edward, thank you so much. Jillian?
Dude, how big is that?
It's huge.
So they're thinking about going around it. And, what did Bessent say a couple weeks ago? He made some sort of mention on, like, people will say, what was the Strait of Hormuz or something to that effect. Like, it's going to be it's going to essentially be history.
Well, Iran is, Trump keeps posting about it. Looking at it right now. Iran has no money. Their dollar's crashed. So there has to be something done. The country can't survive. They can't even pay their military right now.
Oh, you don't say. This is going all the way back. Oh, go ahead.
And we finally have, you mentioned Scott Bessent, we finally have a Secretary of the Treasury that actually is doing something, showing the people what's being done in order to help, stop Iran, so to speak.
Hell yeah.
And to get the enemy to submit.
So, it
I'm
amazes
sure this clip
me.
has to do with it.
Oh, it absolutely does. And it amazes me how we can see the broader implications of what President Trump's trying to do out there. But then, the black pillars, like, say, the Tuckers and the this, that, and the others out there, like, they're just like, no, it's Israel. It's like, how do you not see it? Because you're such a good investigative reporter, right, buddy? I mean, I don't know what to think. We're going to get into him in a little bit. Him and his Hunter making excuses for certain things is just disgusting. But here we go. This is the former, but he's a Soros guy. Okay.
There's some who've speculated the strait will never go back to being the way it was before. What would you say?
I think they're saying that in a doomsday sort of way. I would say it in another way. The strait is never going back to the way it was because the Iranians have used or tried to use it as a choke point. What we are going to see over the next 2 years, the strait's going to become irrelevant. It is going to become just another body of water. And I would say that more than 50 or 70% of the energy that moves through the strait now is going to go through underground pipelines.
There's some who've speculated the strait will never go back to being the way it was before.
Why bother? Why go through the strait? You don't have to.
So he exactly. We've reported on that that countries are now using the pipelines now, and they're building them. And then we showed the video Trump had up for like a week with Morocco and the President Donald Trump highway. So we're opening up new trade options and routes, and this is through capitalism boxing out the deep state and this old way of doing things.
I love it. We're making them irrelevant, and then we're going to get President Trump's response to this in a minute. Let's see. Trump explodes over Iranian cash demands as secret attack on U.S. water supply unveiled in bombshell report. President Trump hits back at Tehran's conditions for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, insisting Iran must compensate first the United States for decades of regime-backed attacks. Tehran wants U.S. forces out of the region and a compensation check for the damage, terms Washington has consistently ruled out. Trump responded by demanding Iran pay compensation for decades of attacks, citing deaths from roadside bombs and conflicts. Additionally, compensation should be paid to the families of the hundreds of thousands of innocent protesters that Iran has killed over the last 50 years, not to mention the 52,000 that have been killed in the last 5 months, he wrote on Truth Social. I have instructed my representatives to put this firmly into any and all future negotiations. The president's comments come after U.S. spy agencies have blamed Iran for cyber attacks across more than a dozen states over the last month. In late July, Iranian regime hackers hit water utility in western Arkansas as part of the wider campaign, U.S. intelligence officials believe, according to the Washington Post. Suspected Iran-linked cyber attacks have also struck water systems in at least a dozen states, including Michigan, Minnesota, Georgia, New Jersey, South Dakota. Sources told CBS, with more than 30 community systems breached in Minnesota alone. So they want some reparations. I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of the world. Like, you go bomb a country, then you say, sorry, what was the bill on that one? And then you drop them a check. for that?
Well, this is kind of interesting. We're dipping into the law of war manual here and negotiating surrender. Did I post that into the chat there? I've got some information on it.
The law
Which
of
is
war. Let me see.
very interesting here.
I got
Give me one
one.
second here, buddy. Sorry.
No,
A
no,
lot
you're
of
good. I'm just looking at the images that I got. One of them's the Insurrection Act. We went through those, and then I got one for Hillary Clinton post
Here,
talking
I
about the
actually
deal.
do have some notes on the Middle East Marshall Plan there, forwarded in. It's from AI asking questions about it.
Making copies. Let's see. I'm gonna go take a look at the chat and see how are we still getting attacked. Oh, I see. Let's see. That's an old one. See, let's scroll back a little bit. How you guys doing out there? Oh, historical values. Trump's got to be the dumbest president ever. All right, bye-bye. Have a nice life. Like, out yourself that quick. See you later. Historical values. Bye-byes.
Hey, we're reaching a new audience. It's not bad.
Yeah, and again, thanks for the extra
Thanks for
view on the way out.
Schmucks. But the law of war manual in Iran's right at the bottom there. So there's two sections, section 9.2, which is negotiations, and then 5.9, which is surrender. And I think a lot of what possibly President Trump is doing is publicly negotiating and showing everybody. And he has to follow it by the law, obviously.
Must be done by the law. So based on the U.S. Department of Defense Law of War Manual, negotiations regarding surrender are covered in Section 9.2, negotiations, and the rules for accepting surrender are in Section 5.9, surrender. Section 9.2, negotiations. Good faith. The principle of good faith does not prohibit commanders from continuing military operations while negotiations are ongoing. Refusal. Commanders may decline or refuse offers to negotiate for reasons of military expediency. Local ceasefires. Commanders should be prepared to negotiate local temporary ceasefires to collect the dead and wounded or to accept the surrender of enemy forces. 5.9. Surrender. Obligation to accept. The law of war obligates a party to accept the surrender of enemy personnel who have clearly expressed an intention to surrender and are hors de combat. Okay. Infeasibility. Orders to surrender may not be refused because it would be militarily inconvenient or impractical to guard or care for detainees. Conditions. The offer to surrender must be clear and unconditional. Any hostile acts, resistance, or efforts to escape vitiate an otherwise legally effective surrender. So I would say that their offer was not unconditional, right? They had conditions of you guys must leave the area, you guys must pay us back. So they're starting to put out their conditions, and then I would say they put out their conditions, and then Trump came in with a counter offer, and I would say what I just described are negotiations.
Correct.
Dude, it's wild.
In that negotiations, they almost got to surrender, and that was the accepting of the terms. Remember? So
yeah.
Was that
real?
What's that?
I said, was that real? Was that not? Was that just a stopgap? Like we'll give them a weekend.
Yeah. Well, I think we understand that Iran is pretty stubborn and they lie a lot. So I think they're going to be economy is going to be crashing, and then people aren't going to get paid that are in the military. So what do they then do? Yeah.
True. What do you do?
Hors de combat means out of action or disabled. Just for clarification, I didn't know myself.
Oh my God, dude. These people are still going after us. This is crazy. And thank you so much, mods. Yeah, thank you so much, mods. Yeah, bad.
It means we're covering good things right now, so just keep it rolling.
Hey, little old me. Thank you for spending the time on little old me. I do appreciate you so very much. All right, let's have some fun now. Actually, you know what? Let's do this before we go into. I keep pushing off the Hunter and Tucker stuff because they're over there pretending like they weren't best friends or whatever the hell was going on.
You got something you got up right now? Because there's one thing I definitely want to cover before the end of the show, and it's pretty sweet confirmation and stuff we've covered on the show. So,
go right ahead and call
Dyson
it out.
Swarm.
Oh yeah. Which one was that one?
Elon confirmed that what is going on, and possibly, well, the moon's going to be included, and I'll get into that. From what I think it is, it's going to be a Dyson Swarm. Like I said, the Starlink and everything. We're going to be, how do you say it? Beaming energy from satellites to the Earth. We're going to be using satellites for communication. We already have that, kind of going up. Elon said there's going to be phones available. We know about the Golden Dome. That's going to have a defensive component to it. And the other thing is servers and so forth with AI and quantum. I'm guessing they're going to put a server or two, possibly a quantum computer on the moon. And remember from last week, we talked about the rocket that was going to hit the moon. Unfortunately, there really hasn't been any footage. I've seen none. The one I did was AI generated, but they could have been using that as a barometer of how deep they have to go with putting a, say, quantum computer or computer system that's protected from any type of meteor impact. That makes sense, because the moon's full of craters.
I got one for you, buddy. So I don't agree with this, and I have your post up here for what we can read this in 1 second. But Hulk had posted this, and he said that Elon had reposted this out, and they claim this is legitimate. So they're saying that this one is actually the real one, and I'm like, well,
yeah, okay,
why is it all pixelated?
That's the it's because the angle. I don't know. There's no really no like oxygen atmosphere. It's a unique type of atmosphere. I talked about it before. I think it's called an exosphere when I read up on it. So it doesn't have an ignition. So like we're full of oxygen. If we had an explosion occur where there's a spark and a bunch of propellant in the Earth, it would create a big explosion. On the moon, the reaction is going to be a little bit different. There may not even be an explosion. And if there is one,
said. Okay.
Yeah. No. If there is one, it'd be very, very small.
Yeah, because they were saying it's going to ring like a bell. Because they said, and I forget what they said had hit it before. They said something had hit the moon before, and it rang
like one
like
of
a bell.
the rovers or something. They slammed it into it, and they said it rang like a bell for 13 hours. I didn't hear anything about that. They really haven't disclosed much about what happened.
Yeah, I mean, they say, oh, the rocket's going to hit the moon at 5,400 miles an hour at 2:30 or whatever, and this is the only air quotes real photo or real footage we get of it that just shows a little bit of a discoloration here. You don't see anything hit, you don't hear anything. I don't know. I just don't buy it. I personally don't believe you can land anything on that moon. So I personally don't believe it.
Most likely the actual footage is classified.
And again, we've talked about this a couple of times, probably off air, which is like the things that they show us, like this and like the AI video that you were talking about earlier, and then things like that, like what they are presenting us with, I can't get behind putting anything into that. However, like we've talked about before, if they do have some technology that's far beyond that they're not showing us, I could buy that. But don't sit there and tell me like, oh wait, they're over here on the ISS, but they keep glitching out, and this guy just put his hand through a wall. You know what I mean? Like numerous times. So that stuff, in my opinion, is complete bupkis, and maybe that's the the head fake, so we don't see other things that may be going on. I don't know, but yeah, that's wild.
There was an old video, and I can't find it. I've been in search of it. I think it was Secure Team 10 back in the day. They posted a video, and it was like a laser experiment, maybe by the military, where you saw a laser being shot in space. It was pretty interesting. Or maybe it was a photon. I'm not sure, but it was very interesting. They cut the feed. So that back in the old YouTube days, there was stuff like that they would kind of leak somehow. But
yeah, no,
I get what you're saying. I'm looking for more proof myself. I still think that we have a secret space program. We already been on the moon. There's stories of a pre-existing moon base prior to humans getting there. So maybe it was humans prior to us, the Soviets, who knows? But that's been written about. But I would not be surprised if a secret space program, the evidence is there, and there might be also additional storylines outside of just that we're going to find out about.
Oh God, I'm looking. I was gonna show you something. I'm like, no, that's way too fake. It's so AI. Because I know you like the Montauk Project. They had this video as this kid, crushing a table. I'm like, no, it's just completely AI. But back to this dude. So this guy says, and he's talking language that I'm not really too familiar with. So all right, I get the idea. Your goal is to colonize the moon. Use it to build the AI Dyson swarm. So that'd be a bunch of like the satellites in like a grouping, right? Climb the Kardashev scale and usher a new age of expansion into human civilization. That, I don't know what the Kardashev scale is. I've never heard of that.
I'm looking it up right now. It's a hypothetical method of measuring a civilization's level of technological advancement based on the amount of energy it can harness and use. So it's, how much energy we produce as a civilization to live off of comparatively to how much energy the sun produces. And the government has classified civilizations. There's different ranges. And let's see, type 1 planetary civilization can harness and store all energy available on its home planet, approximately 10 to the 16 watts. This includes controlling weather, earthquakes, and utilizing all solar energy reaching the planet. Type 2, stellar civilization can harness the total energy output of its host star, approximately 10 to the 26 watts, often theorized to be achieved via structures like a Dyson sphere. Dyson swarm is the satellite components to it's how do I say this? It's a lot more satellite components to make up the technological Dyson sphere. Just a different type of Dyson sphere. Anyway, and that's where we're headed. Type 3 galactic civilization can control energy on the scale of its entire galaxy, approximately 10 to the 36 watts, enabling intergalactic travel and communication. Which to me, that part of that's quantum. So we could be there already. Controlling the energy on the scale of its entire galaxy, that can be done with the 0 point energy, and that's probably what they're hiding or been hiding. And
Why is
it
he
is
so
very
sweaty?
That's a good question. But the technology itself can be used for many different things. And it can be used as a weapon, and it can also be used as in good ways. So we're on that, I think, timeline for that to be unlocked. But this right here is what they were talking about in that post.
He was talking about cell providers earlier, saying that he's not going to put them out of business. Register the Starlink direct to cell beta program with T-Mobile.
What he's done is, now that he knows that he has a time frame when this is going to be available, he's having phone companies manufacture the frequency into the phone. So all these phones already have, based on the provider, have that frequency built into the hardware. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that's what he said. It had to have a couple of changes done on the hardware first.
So that's what they have to integrate into the phone. I'm sure some genius out there is going to figure out a way to get around that and just have like an attachment to your phone.
Right. So he's basically saying, I've said publicly, bandwidth demand will increase massively due to AI and robotics. And did you know that I read something yesterday that was talking about it's like a high percentage of the web traffic now is bots. Actually, you know what? I didn't read that. Hulk brought that in on Saturday on the show. They were talking about internet flow, like data, and essentially the most used thing on the internet now is bots. They're going out and the what do they call them? The companions or whatever. They go out and look for like deals and stuff like that. And you had one company, I think it was Amazon, was trying to block bots from one company going on their site to purchase things because why? The bots couldn't be upsold. You know what I mean? So like when you go there and you're like, oh, I need to buy this, and it's like, oh, would you like one of these too? Or it flashes something else in front of you. They get more purchases on that. But if you send like a bot in there to go do it for you, it's just going to buy what you told it to buy and nothing more. And so they're like,
it's going to streamline sleazy sales, you know?
True.
It's actually going to get people to do it like, you know, honestly. I like it.
I don't know.
It's going to be built all, you know, a product that you buy, the quality is going to matter more now and not just the price. And, you know, AI is going to be a big help in that aspect. It'll be
huge.
It'll be our rating system, basically.
Ooh, SpaceX's stock price right now is 136. Came out at 150 for the IPO. But what they're saying here, he says, even if the communications market merely doubles in size, I would expect Starlink to reach at least 25% market share outside of China, maybe one day in China too, which would be over $500 billion in revenue per year. It's not out of the question that Starlink carries more than 50% of internet traffic long term, which would probably be over $1 trillion a year. There's no obvious impediment to that outcome so far. And so he's saying, this person's writing, you know, Starlink alone setting up to be worth multi-trillions.
And this effectively gets rid of all these damn 5G towers. I know here in the States, I think the Covfefe thing was rumored to have, you know, solved that issue. But, you know, in other countries that are woke and they say the EU, they get, you know, I remember seeing a lot of online videos of people cutting them down. And, I wonder if that's another way of getting rid of the 5G. And Trump did ask for 6G recently. So I think 6G, this is a long dig ago, 6G might be a part of what Elon's talking about.
I believe so too. And, you know, I don't know what type of, and like, do you have any idea, like, what's the difference between, is it just a spectrum of information? I know this is a weird question to come out of the blue, but like the signal that your cell phone would give versus a signal that like one of these satellites would give to the phone. Like, I wonder how much of a change has to be made.
I've got some answers for you, possibly.
Nice.
I did some digging. It's in the chat. A while back in 2022.
This one here?
Yeah, I think start with the first one probably. Up top? No, I think there's more up top.
Go. Okay, yeah.
There's an actual PDF too, but this is probably a longer document. But it kind of shows you how 6G works, its architecture. So you notice the satellites. So that's what I think Trump asking for 6G might be, you know, telling Elon, let's go.
I see blockchain up there.
Yeah, blockchain's the type of quantum mechanics that help for protection and verification.
Interesting.
So like the CAPTCHA stuff's like blockchain. It's like verification.
So mobility, so 5G would give you 350 to 500. 6G would be 1,000. Peak spectral efficiency 30 is doubling it. End-to-end latencies. Wow, 1 second to 0.1 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
milliseconds.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah, and 0.1 millisecond. So people that I know that have Starlink have all given me rave reviews about it, saying that it works really good for them. You know, go out camping, whatever, plop the thing out, put a power source to it, and you're good to go.
Now look at the peak data rate and that same graphic there. If you go back, thank you. Look at the comparison, user data rate, 1 gigabyte per second comparatively to greater than 10 gigabytes per second. Peak data rate, 10 to 20 gigabytes. It's going to be greater than 100 gigabytes. Coverage, greater than 99% of the world, if not outer space. I don't know if it applies there, but you know, you can use them in planes now. They're getting hooked up. So,
I wonder if we can look into SpaceX and see how much money they spend on helium, and then try to find out how much helium they use for their rockets and stuff like that.
Helium-3 is the big one that's been rumored around. Anybody I think Ashton Ford right now is doing the best coverage on the science. He even gets down into the equations and stuff. It's, take me back to the old school of quantum mechanics and so forth, and physics. So recommend looking at what he's covering, because he's also interviewing some interesting people.
Very.
If we scroll through the additional graphics, we may see some other stuff. Basically 7G kicks ass, or 6G kicks ass. It's way better than 5G.
I wonder about now in a normal operating procedure, right? Like, so we have 5G, but I think 5G was, I don't know if it was a triggering mechanism, but I think it had something to do with COVID. Like, I think it maybe, I don't know, triggered some of the stuff because some of the first outbreaks were around that. And I wonder if the higher we go, like at one point, does whatever G start boiling your blood and your water in your body?
Well, it's activating the nanoparticle that was in your body. Remember, we've covered it. It was non-magnetic, outside the body. Had to be kept at a certain temperature, and then when it gets inside your body's what, a normal 97, 98 degrees. It activates it then, and then the 5G putting out that frequency, vibration can activate something just as much as any kind of frequency. So I would say it was electromagnetic driven, because I think that's what's behind a lot of 5G technologies, and that could have an impact on those nanoparticles that would be activated in your body. You could also send information through it, so that would be maybe a receiver to harm or do something to somebody that you would not be aware of.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, technologically we're there. So I think that as we get along in this more so, it's going to come out that it's quite possible. And it's what happened is that it's a potential bioweapon.
Yeah, I would agree with that one for sure.
Yeah. And I forget what the VLC and the THZ. I know terahertz and the VLC. I forget what that is.
VLC,
So,
isn't that like video something?
I'm seeing if I can quickly find it.
Yeah. Satellites. VLC and satellite says VLC can refer to using VLC media player to stream scan satellite feeds, or visible light communications technology used in satellite and space applications.
So it's light technology. So that's like, quantum almost. Quantum is actually instantaneous. So if it's traveling light speed, that's pretty darn fast.
Cheap, expensive. Well, that's a great one right there, huh? Bandwidth, VLC and THZ. But dude, you also you had some very interesting couple of posts about money today, and I'm going to show you the senator that doesn't know what he's talking about first, and then the other one. That was pretty interesting. So wait, where is he? All right, here he is.
Mr. Rand.
This is Mr. Rand Paul, but he's got something. This is kind of out of left field for me, dude. I mean, not that
I
we
kind of like it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Not that we didn't
Trump,
see it, but him,
it's almost like Trump tasked him to go do this, because Trump said we're going to go check it out, and then he confirmed that he checked it out, and then instead of him doing it, he's sending a congressman who should investigate what is being said and checking to see if it's true. I like it.
Take a look. See.
I don't know who this new Rand Paul is, but he's changed. I think Trump said after Massey left, there's a new Rand Paul. So I don't know what that means.
Oh,
maybe
your
they're
neighbor,
lovers or something.
Your neighbor beats the crap out of you. Maybe he took a couple of lumps to the head. All right, let's see what old Rand Paul here has got to say.
Fort Knox, we've come to see the gold. Our country has about 147 million ounces of gold, and about half of it is stored here at Fort Knox. We're going to be going deep underground to see the gold. But more importantly, we're going to be talking today about what happened to our dollar when we separated from gold in 1971. Over 85% of the value of the dollar has been lost since we delinked from gold. So there is a problem. The media now calls this affordability. What it really is inflation. We run a debt. As the deficit runs up, $2 trillion a year, part of that debt is bought by the Federal Reserve with newly created dollars. This leads to inflation and prices are up. My goodness, just go to the grocery store, still look at the price of meat. Prices are up 25% in the last 5 years. It's inflation. It's related to deficit spending, related to unbalanced budgets. So we're going to look at the gold today. But really what we're talking about is why is our paper currency failing us? Why does our country continue to run such massive debts? I'm going down underground, and I'll let you know what I see in a little bit. Thanks.
Well, let's see.
Can you smell it? Can you smell the gold coming to our dollar? I can smell it. Great.
9 hours ago, and that's a pinned comment. 6 hours ago, back to Fauci. 5 hours ago, affordability implies the citizens fail to earn enough. 6 hours ago, newly released text Fauci. Okay, miscarriage. We got that one already. Back to Fauci. Fauci stuff. So, dude, did he get... Oh, wait. Oh, here we go. 7 hours ago. I was just going to say, did he get kidnapped? Hey, guys, everybody, put all your concerns back on the table, back in your pocket. It's all good. Senator Rand Paul here says, yes, the gold is all there. Approximately 147 million ounces. A little bit of a problem with that right there is that it's all there approximately 147 million ounces. Didn't he say in that last video that our total holdings were 147 million ounces and that roughly half of it is staked there? I thought that's what he said. So, 1971, we severed the dollar from gold. Since then, the currency has lost roughly 85% of its value. Prices are higher because the money itself is weaker. Family making $50,000 with 2 kids that has not received the 25% raise in the last 5 years is falling behind. This is now often called affordability, but the accurate word is inflation. We run it in annual deficits of $2 trillion, so we're basically, and we're paying back the debts, right? Dude, this is what I don't understand. And I've said this, numerous times over the last many years. Like, at the end of the day, who do we owe most of our money to, right? And then at the end of the day, who does that country owe most of their money to? Like, so if we were to all settle today, all right, everybody has enough money in their bank accounts to pay off everybody else. Who is left holding the bag at the end of the day? Because there's got to be one country, one area. Is it the friggin' Vatican? Is it China? Who has all the money that we take all these debts on? It's like, oh, is it the Federal Reserve? The World Bank? Like, what is it at the end of the day? Who do we owe these 40-something trillion dollars to exactly? And why don't we just tell them, sorry, you burnt at this point? I don't know what the answer to that is, but like, I'm pretty sure most countries owe most other countries money as well. Obviously not countries that they don't deal with, but it is a problem, and we need to have the gold backed by something of value, and that's where you came in with this one as well, brother. I very much enjoy these little images and stuff that they put out. They're very cute and very poignant as well. And so what this one says is USA Treasury dollar dominance. Executive order, says in the middle here, alchemy. President Trump says, what will happen when we introduce the new 100% asset-backed Treasury dollar? Introduce the new 100% asset-backed Treasury dollar. All other debt-based fiat currencies around the world will instantly become worthless. Boom. And right there.
Well,
do we have the gold? Yes.
I got
gold.
something here that is interesting.
I like interesting things.
Here, I'm sending it into the chat. I don't have anything else other than that at this point that I can find, but I made this little screenshot because he wrote it into a EO about gold.
So that's a post that was very loud, and that was somebody asked the team back in the day, Q, do we have the gold? And they said, yes, gold shall destroy Fed. It doesn't say the Fed, it just said Fed. All right, what are we looking at here, brother? 5. Gold Standard Science, Executive Order, March 23rd, 2025. Executive Order 14303, titled Restoring Gold Standard Science, used the term, quote, gold standard, metaphorically, to establish principles for federal scientific research, reproducibility, transparency, etc. This order did not concern precious metals. Okay, wait. It's named Gold Standard Science, and it does not concern precious metals. Okay, got that part clear. That's weird, right?
So he's got it in play. You know, all they got to do is change the language or whatever. But it's written in an executive order, and like I said, like you've said in the past, once we get control of the House and the Senate, we'll start to be able to put these executive orders into law.
That would be so sweet, dude. So
And
sweet.
and they'll I think all of President Trump's executive orders are worthy. So he's sticking and moving. He's changing one thing, but he's getting rid of like 200 different other things.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm loving what he's doing, and to cut down the regulations on that stuff, like he said, every one regulation he gets rid of 10 or something like that. I absolutely love that, dude. All right, we have to get into the contradictory. Actually, you know what? One more before we get to Hunter. I promise. Hunter and Tucker. I think you had dropped this one, maybe. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
So this was a Chinese rocket launch, I guess. So let's take a look. I'll just keep it muted here. But apparently they were launching a rocket over here in China. And apparently he had a little ED, a little erectile dysfunction here. And kaboom, huh? Where's this dude? Watching it in Miami? The hell? So, holy crap, a Chinese Long March 7A just exploded midway through ascent.
It snapped in half. I don't know if you could see it on that angle, but
this one, I couldn't see
the top
too
one.
well.
You can see it.
Yeah, this top one you can see the
top just snaps off.
It's like right here. He goes a little limp. Right there, smash. Well, apparently that thing wasn't structurally secure. But yeah, that's gonna be a big boo boo there, huh? Couple $1 billion boo boo. All right. Let me see.
And a lot of time, I'm sure.
Ooh, I never got this one over, and I feel like we should, because you took the time to make it. So let's pop this one over. And this was a shocking thing to see. Amazing. Am I reading this right? Did President Trump get like a shot on the shoulder from Hillary Clinton here? Am I reading this right?
Unreal. I don't understand it, to be honest.
So President Trump, anyways, posted out yesterday around 12:51, quoting Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, quote, "The world may not like Trump's Gaza plan, but there is no alternative. If even I, an implacable opponent of the president, can accept this as the best option, then surely others can too." What? Wait.
I don't know. He's speaking tongues.
Like, we're just starting to see a lot of weird things, dude. That did you have Hillary Clinton, okaying President Trump's Gaza plan on the bingo card? I think that would have been one of the last things that would be on my bingo card. That's just bananas, dude. But hey, Financial Times. And apparently she wrote this in June. Let me see. June 18th, 2026. Particular kind of diplomatic paralysis that sets in when governments decide that the perfect is the enemy of the possible. Okay, whatever. Anyways, so if Hillary Clinton is out there saying like, "Hey, I can accept this," then maybe others can too? ? That's almost like telling the people on your side, like, "Hey, this is cool. Like, let's not give them shit over this one," So hey, we'll take it. We'll take it for what it is. But didn't expect that. Now, finally, here we go, guys. And
thing though.
And this is very loud. I apologize for that. But
hey, if you want that article, I got all the screenshots that he posted. I don't know.
Which one?
The article that he had attached to his truth. I just threw it in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
But it's actually written by her on June 18th, 2026.
Yeah, it's like not an op-ed, but a pro-ed. Let me see.
Strange.
All right, let's pop this up here really quick because world may not like Trump's Gaza plan, but there is no alternative. Wait, dude, that statement right there alone, it flies in the face of everything the Democrats have done for the last 8 years, which is, let me remind you, I don't know, reject everything Trump says, right? Have they gone off of that course in the last 8 years? No. Everything Trump does is, nope, that's bad. He's a racist. He's a rapist. Da, 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 da. The fact that she even writes that there's no alternative, because what would they do in the past? They would always say, well, what they could do is this. Nope. Particular kind of diplomatic paralysis that sets in when governments decide that the perfect is the enemy of the possible. I've seen it before in the Balkans, Northern Ireland, the Middle East, and I see it again now as Europe and many of its traditional partners approach the board of peace and the Trump administration's 20-point plan for Gaza with the studied skepticism of those who believe they can afford to wait. But we cannot. None of us can. There is no alternative framework waiting in the wings. No rival coalition is quietly preparing a more viable proposal. The 20-point plan is not the one many of us would have drafted, but it remains the only framework backed by sufficient leverage, political engagement, and potential resources to move the parties towards implementation. It has been reinforced through a UN Security Council resolution and further advanced by the roadmap from Nikolay Mladenov and the Board of Peace, which seeks to link reconstruction and governance transition to the dismantling of Hamas's military infrastructure and longer-term stabilization in Gaza. Without such a plan, the crisis in Gaza will only deteriorate, with Hamas retaining both political and practical influence over a devastated population through armed actors, local administrative structures, aid distribution networks, and access to basic goods and services. Reconstruction frozen, investment absent, civilians trapped in dependency and despair, with reportedly up to 1,000 killed since the ceasefire. Another generation of children growing up amid rubble, fear, and hopelessness. There will be no security for Israel, no viable path to Palestinian self-determination. Gazans understand this as well as anyone. Without demilitarization and transition away from Hamas rule, there will be no meaningful reconstruction. There will be no meaningful support or no meaningful reconstruction, no realistic prospect that Israel will ever withdraw from the 60% of the Gaza Strip it now controls, and no credible pathway towards a future led by Palestinians themselves. In recent months, international attention has understandably drifted elsewhere, but treating Gaza as a secondary is a profound strategic mistake. An unresolved Gaza does not remain contained. It fuels instability across the region. The longer it stays as it is, the more difficult any future political solution becomes. Prolonged paralysis weakens moderate voices, deepens instability, and further entrenches realities that will become harder to reverse with time. The Board of Peace and the plan contain elements many governments dislike or disagree with. Some are uneasy with the political sequencing, skeptical of provisions on Palestinian governance and representation, or wary of placing trust in an American-led framework at a moment when confidence in U.S. leadership has eroded. Had to throw in the dig. Many are understandably skeptical of an approach so closely associated with Donald Trump. I understand it. I share some of it. Yet, if even I, an implacable opponent of President Trump, can accept that this is the best option in a terrible situation, and surely others can too. This moment calls for a greater sense of collective responsibility from Europe, regional partners, and a broader international community. Disengagement will not produce a more acceptable alternative. Strip away the rhetoric, and the 20-point plan offers something that not long ago many believed was unattainable: an active diplomatic framework backed by meaningful U.S. leverage and sustained engagement from the administration. And what I have heard from Palestinians, especially those living in or connected to Gaza is that they want a path out of perpetual crisis, just as many Israelis desire greater security and dismantling of Hamas's military infrastructure. Those realities should matter as the international community considers whether to engage or stand aside, because a genuine transformation in Gaza is essential not only for stabilization and security, but also for reunifying Palestinians politically under a reformed and credible leadership. For too long, fragmentation between Gaza and the West Bank, along with weakening. Yep.
She spelled stabilization with this S. Weird.
Stabilization.
If you're an American, you don't spell it like that.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. When I was done, I was going to say a couple of the words were kind of like that. And I'm wondering if she had like a foreigner write this for her. Because it seems that way. Right?
But she's basically, I think, she's agreeing with President Trump because he freed Gaza and gave it back to the Palestinians. Is that basically what we're reading here? And she had to save face because he did it?
Yeah, I mean, she threw her digs in there.
Too?
Yeah, I mean, she put her digs
bitter.
in there,
She's
but
a little bitter.
She's definitely bitter. But like the whole thing, it's like it's giving him like a thumbs up essentially at the end of the day. And yeah, throwing in a couple digs here and there, and the president is not, people aren't so happy with him, and blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, she's coming out and saying like, hey, let's give this thing a chance. And I've not seen anything like this from her.
You know what else is weird is in all the times that we've been doing this, we've got 147 thumbs down right now. What did we talk about that was so bad?
Well, there you go, Wheezy. She had sent a message earlier because I couldn't I couldn't get to it, but she says, "Can you count how many we've been taking out?" Well, I think we can tell you right now, 147 of them you guys took out today. Let me see. Let me refresh.
I just asked the mods to document what we talked about that sparked this. Interesting.
You got to refresh that, buddy. That's 196 thumbs down now. Oh, you love it. Trump posted this yesterday, and today's Delta Q1834. They never thought she would lose. Now they all lose. Q+. Machine of hate. I like it. So she's basically filing up here or finishing up here and saying like, hey, you guys are, being gleeful in anticipation of the failure is not unhelpful. It's strategically self-defeating. The Board of Peace is an improbable vehicle, and the 20-point plan leaves many legitimate concerns unresolved. Governments will continue to disagree with important elements of both, but diplomacy rarely offers a choice between good options and bad ones. The international community cannot claim concern for Palestinian civilians while refusing to engage with the only mechanism currently capable of shifting conditions on the ground. Nor can we continue pretending that paralysis is a neutral position. It is not. Delay has its consequences. The choice for governments is not whether this process is ideal, it's whether they're prepared to help shape an imperfect framework from within or stand aside while more destructive actors shape what comes next. Dude, at the end of the day, she is thumbs upping and vouching for this thing and giving it an okay. I love it. I absolutely friggin' love it, dude. Yep, Hillary Clinton did that. She did that. That is just wild. All right, let's pull on the piece de resistance, and here she is in all her glory. Remember, it's always one country, right? It's never anything this guy did wrong. Remember that.
One thing, though, that this is what I'm just telling you that they came.
It's always them. The Russians. No, wait, it's the Jews.
There was a little weird thing in the beginning that Hunter said, if you caught it. He said, you've been through it too, talking about, I don't know if you can go back in the video, but I put a screenshot. I asked AI, he's never been accused of abusing a minor, but there's some other things that come up in, where is it? The Russians.
I had it done to me.
There it is.
And so you've gone through it. Yeah, right here. The fact that this guy's playing Mr. Priest over here, like I've never done anything wrong. Dude, remind me, wasn't there one picture with him, and I don't know if this was AI or whatever, but I specifically remember, and I might even have it in my meme folders here, but I could have sworn there was like a picture of him like holding a little girl by the hand who had like heavy makeup on and like a friggin' bikini or something like that, like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I do know that, people have dug up that he attended Comet Ping Pong when he said he didn't, and he was like a VIP on the list. He denied knowing Hunter for a little while, and then he finally on Fox News admitted to it and kind of like joked it off. He played it on the show, and I just find that they're trying to get ahead of something. They keep calling out Israel. One thing we know that what's Israel maybe got some dirt on Tucker that he's not going to like. And obviously Tucker's getting paid by somebody, but we haven't been told quite yet. I think was it Laura Loomer says it's Qatar, but we covered that. We covered that as the CIA laundering center. So it could be various options.
But dude, this is just ridiculous to the point where like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm cool. But wait, wasn't there like text messages that were very, let's just say, not for us, they wouldn't be borderline, but like where they try to make excuses. But he was talking to, I think, his niece pretty provocatively, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure I am.
Yeah, there was some sort of definite, I would say, sexual relationship that was inferred in the conversation at the very least.
Certainly appeared that way. Oh God, wait, do I have it right here?
And obviously there's her diary. Said she was taking showers naked with what, Joe Biden?
At apparently an inappropriate age. Oh dude, I found screenshots of a picture of Hunter and then a thing of screenshots. So let me put these up here. Select you, and we're gonna put that add to album here really quick. Apologize, guys. This is old stuff that this is interesting. Put it right there. All right, and I'm gonna have it up on the screen in about 20 segundos here. One of them just a picture. I think it's probably of him and his niece and nephew.
Tucker made a lewd comment about underage girls, saying 14-year-old girls sexually experimenting. Quote, if it weren't my daughter, I would love that scenario. Ugh, no.
Scumbags. Dude, what else I noticed too is, and I'm going to show you this picture in a minute. Let me see. Look at Hunter's nose. Do you notice any like big like scar on it or anything, or a big like break on it? And just, I'll hold this here, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. You'll see why. Here we go. All right, so here's the first one. This is just him taking a selfie, and I think it's just, no nudity or anything like that, just a picture. But look at his nose. Look at the nose that you guys are seeing right here on the screen right now, right? And then versus this nose. Look like he got beat up, dude. It was like a crack in that sucker or something.
He may have gotten it fixed. It looks a little crooked, but no.
a little knobby nose there. But here's the other one. And let me see, what is this? Message with Sylvia Arch. I think that, okay, yeah, Hunter. Here we go. All right, so to Sylvia Arch, hey, I'm here. When you put the Gucci jacket, Hunter, I have no idea. Let me see if I can track it down. Hope so. It's $8,000. Had to come back. Gucci, $8,500 bomber. Alexandra, Hunter, sorry. Sylvia Arch. I don't know if that was the niece or whatever. Your friend and employee has an $8,000 coat of mine if I don't get it back. I mean, dude, this guy was just into all sorts of shady crap. She's an employee. You're her manager. We were there in the same private hotel when she was eating my jacket that you commented on. You saw her wearing. So these are just some of the old weirdo texts. Apparently there's not, I don't know, I think Sylvia is just some other woman here, but the way that these guys talk to each other, remember, he was his neighbor, right?
Someone said Hunter's nose probably collapsed from all that electric sugar. You're probably right. You're probably right, Luigi 777.
that booger sugar, you know it. Yeah, dude. But like the way they talk about they talk like they're not best buddies here, right? Because did you ever see that interview with dude, I wish I could pull this up right now. There was an interview where Jesse Waters was interviewing Tucker, and he was asking him all about Hunter, and it was almost like he was like riding him big time on it. What's Jesse's last name? Anybody remember? Jesse from Fox News there? Is it Jesse Michaels? Jesse Waters.
Jesse Waters.
Jesse Waters, Tucker. Let's see if I can find this video right now. It would be great because he looked like he was like sticking it to him. And you don't just ask somebody that I wouldn't go ask any of my neighbors that I'm not super close to or super friendly with. Certainly wouldn't ask them to write a letter to get my kid into college. You know what I mean? And that's what he did with Hunter and Tucker, apparently. Where is this? Oh, wait, is this it? Jesse Waters call Ken Paxton. No, come on. I will find it and see if I can get it for next week or maybe next week's show. Dude, I'm sorry. This is actually the same person that posted this video here. You ready?
I think I have the clip.
Dude, if you can find that, I would love to play that, but here you go. Look, they're best buddies. Now they're walking down the beach together. How cute.
I just forwarded in. You have to fast forward it towards the end.
I gotcha. Let's think. Over on YouTube, D-Lippa Show dropped a $4.99 super chat. Appreciate that. Says Josh and Alpha Warrior can answer your questions about Flynn, Q, and the PSYOP war, irregular warfare, and fifth dimensional warfare. They have been 100 for the last 4 years, 5 years. I appreciate the super chat though. But yeah, everybody has their own opinions. Certain people think that he's out there flying in the face of what President Trump is doing because they need to wake up some people to not, always do whatever President Trump wants. However, on the other side of that, I can see how you could get that narrative across, but you don't also need to pile on to other people. Remember the ones we showed a few weeks ago, Mac? I think it was actually last week's show. Where Pepe D, I think, put out a post. He's like, why do you follow so many clowns or whatever? And he was reposting the lady who was saying like, oh, this president is like the biggest disappointment ever. And he did like a Hang Tin repost on it. Like, I don't think you need to go that far with all this narrative if you're trying to make everybody not just automatically follow President Trump. So again, I'm not 100% clear, but you know what? I can tell you for sure. Myself, Mac, Josh, Alpha Warrior, any of these other guys out there, nobody knows exactly what's going on. And that's one thing I can guarantee you 100%, that me, Mac, and none of these guys know exactly what's going on. And for anybody to tell you, I know for sure this guy is good or bad, I don't know. You're going to have to show me the proof to what, because I could give you 10 points on each side.
All you gotta realize is that you voted for President Trump to be president, and you didn't vote for anything for Tucker. So
no, nothing for Tucker and nothing for Flynn either. That's where we're going.
Yeah. So they're going to be forming something to divide MAGA and run as candidates. They've already hinted at it multiple times, and they've shown their true colors. So, I mean, President Trump hasn't even left office yet. And I hate to tell people that didn't realize this before, Trump is still on his first term, and he never left office, so he can run in 2028. And even if we can also amend the Constitution in the meantime to make it happen. But I think, from our research, President Trump did the 5D chess and did all the things we said.
This is funny. Sean Lene dropped the dropped the $5 Rumble rant and says August is typically hot for troll bots burning the last midnight oil. Good luck. We'll see what we got now. 212, dude. We're cooking. This is the most thumbs down ever on my show. They broke a record today. Thanks, guys. But I love it. I love to get the trolls in here. But I'm loving the direction that everything's been going in, and all the uncertainty, right? But the folks that are just already made up their mind on President Trump and that are completely brainwashed, like, I almost feel bad for them in a certain way, dude, because it's like, how stupid are you? Like, if you can't see what's going on by now, I just don't get how a majority of the people can't see the piling up that they did. And, you know, the people are idiots that go out there and go, oh, President Trump's going after his political rivals. Really? They indicted his National Security Council, his National Security guy. They indicted, or we're going to investigate his Attorney General, the President-elect. I mean, dude, it's so bad.
Well, the obvious answer is that they broke the law. You know, that's why we're going after them. It wasn't that they didn't break the law and President Trump's going after his political rivals. It's like, his political rivals broke the law going after him, so now we are doing what we need to do and bringing them to justice. Simple as that.
Well, that's a good one. Yahosh. I'm going to butcher that name. Yahosha. Let me see if I can get it right here. He's Yahoshusha. 2020 says, Brokeback Idiots playing in a theater near you. That's true. It's so true. And one more over here on Rumble. Dina Marie 66 dropped another $5 Rumble rant and says, I decided not to gift a sub because I don't want the trolls to get a castle. And she says, at Wheezy Girl is a superstar and needs a raise. I appreciate you gals out there and a couple guy out there. But yeah, they are very, very invaluable and very helpful. So I do appreciate you.
How much money does it cost to do something like that? It's like a digital attack on the show. It's crazy.
Watch this. Guy in the chat, another troll says, bet you won't read this chat. Guess what? I just read it. Boom. And you're gone too. Bet you won't read it. Next time, maybe write, you won't read the next message. How about that? And then Sean Lene came back with another $5 Rumble rant and says, Dina Marie, I will match your $5. And then Warren Mima came in and says, for Wheezy's hard work tonight, we're going to send the mods over some gift baskets, and they probably going to send them to a spa after tonight. So thank you for that there, guys. Let me see. What else do we got in the shoot here?
Might as well talk about the pesos while we're at it.
Oh, yeah, I came up with that. That was I figured it out myself. Let's see. Oh, I kind of held this towards the end here because I don't know if it's going to open, if I have to do the email thing again here, but we'll see. And you know, really good outfit here. Epoch Times, I always enjoyed their reporting for the last many years, but National Academy of Sciences removes climate chapter that critics allege could bias judges. Federal judges rely on this manual to decide cases, the CEO of American Energy Institute stated. It says, facing accusations from conservatives that it may be attempting to bias judges in favor of climate lawsuits, National Academy of Sciences has removed from its website a chapter on climate science in its manual produced as a judicial reference for judges. Fourth edition of the reference manual on scientific evidence for federal judges, which includes a chapter on climate science, was written by the NAS in partnership with the Federal Judicial Center. Quote, that chapter has received considerable scrutiny, the NAS announced in a statement. The NAS has determined that questions about the processes used to develop the chapter warrant an independent review, and the chapter will not appear on our website while that review is underway. Critics say the move vindicates the concerns they raised about the manual and NAS's contributions to it. After 8 long months, the National Academies has finally acknowledged that the biased climate science chapter in its judicial reference manual deserves additional scrutiny, president of the Judicial Crisis Network said. It took massive public backlash. Supreme Court Justice Elena Kagan distanced herself from the chapter and the Federal Judiciary Center, removing the chapter before the National Academies finally bowed to realities. So, dude, climate litigation involves cities, counties, and states suing energy companies for damages they claim global warming has inflicted on their communities. One such lawsuit in Multnomah County, Oregon, is seeking $50 billion from Exxon, Mobil, Shell, Chevron, BP, ConocoPhillips, and others. Oh my God, dude, this is so ridiculous, dude. It's not even funny. And of course, they need to push their narrative that we're going into like an ice age, right? Oh, excuse me, that we're going into global warming. And I'm already getting ahead of my words here, which is they knew before or thought before that we were going into an ice age. And how do I know that, Mac? Well, this video I did in June 19th of 2017. And I'm not going to do the whole spiel here, but I will. Let me make sure. I want to show you guys some clips of this. Right? This one here, I remember this is so funny right here. Let me see if I can get to the part where they're actually talking here. This is the kind of crap that people have to go through. Let me see. Here we go. Let's go. Data mine. So this guy, the information that's in the rest of this video is 22 minutes. We're not going through the whole thing, obviously, but I'm just going to show you guys some still photos and things like that within this. But what this proves is that they have been lying to us so very badly for so many years. And what do? They always appeal to authority. And this guy is, he's the scientist. He's the intelligent guy. And let's listen to this about, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds here.
Can you go back to the middle of the graph there? Yeah. That graph? Yeah, the peak in the middle? Yep. What year is that? That's about 1941. Yeah, 1930s and 40s were warmer than the current decades. Where's that? Well, no, what's the data source? Well, not exactly. No, the original records are.
So you see that, Mac? What he's saying is the 30s and the 40s were actually warmer than they are now. But when we go here, what does it show us? Oh, no, it's just getting warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer as we go, right? This is what he's talking about, this chart here. See how 1940s and this particular, this one right here, this particular one is 1940 here. This is a 1975 chart. But see the chart that he has? 1940s, this part right here is this part right here. And as you see, it goes way up. But this is how it was then. It went way down after the fact. And so, dude, I showed many different things here. Absolute goal, sea level rise is believed to be 1.7 to 1.8 millimeters per year. And then NASA claims sea level is rising twice that fast at 3.4. So they did studies and says 1.7, but they doubled it essentially. So, dude, there's so many in here. And I should probably re-upload this to like Rumble or something.
This is one of the deep state's, obvious tools to get money from the taxpayer and the world. And it's based around fear. So if you fear something, you're willing to pay into it so it doesn't happen in the future. It's just like insurance. Insurance is paying into something you fear doesn't happen.
Just like our rights.
Yeah.
Like the Patriot Act, right? Like, hey, just do whatever you got to do. Pass whatever laws you got to pass. Just make sure it doesn't happen again. And, you're right. The fear thing works and it's simple stuff like this. Like, think about it. Like, you got this chart that's blue and now it's red.
Yeah. So, I went to school when they started teaching this stuff. I don't know if college, and it's like, if you didn't buy into it, you didn't get funding for your doctorate or whatever.
True.
Professors and so forth. So they bullied out the real science.
They 100% did.
And then they made it political. And then once they were able to do this, they could use it for all different types of things. But it's also a way that the possibly, just going to throw this out there, some black ops or intelligence agencies might be pulling money from that. I don't know that for a fact, but it would be considered a slush fund if you think about it.
Oh,
it's not really going to fix anything. You know what I mean? Like, what are they going to do? Oh, they're going to tell us they're going to tell us not to use as much water. Remember? And they're going to tell us, they're going to tell us what to do. So all that money is just free money.
Yeah, no, I often wonder too, like, how big are some of the budgets on, or the bank accounts on some of these people that, use the black budgets or started with something and then maybe started, moving weapons and drugs over the decades. Like, I could imagine that some of these people have some massive, massive accounts out there. But this is just, I think this is the last point I'll show you guys on this one. But here we are. And the guy that did this one, Steve Goddard, he goes by two names. I forgot what the other gentleman, he uses two different names, but this guy's like a critical missions like expert. So like, say if you have like some computer company that has like a bunch of errors on their chips or something way down in the manufacturing thing, what this guy's like a problem solver, right? And so what this guy did to get all this data, because, well, what do you do nowadays, right? Where we get all our data mostly on the internet, where they do what? They can change things and mess things up. So this guy, painstakingly, Steve Goddard, went to numerous different libraries throughout the country and started looking through the microfiche. And then he started copying all the things that were in there because they hadn't had a chance to go through the microfiche and change them yet. So New York Times, 1961, scientists agree the world is colder, but climate experts meeting here failed to agree on reasons for the change. International team, 1978, international team of specialists finds no end in sight to 30-year cooling trend in the Northern Hemisphere. 1979, one thing is undisputable. The world has been cooling off since World War II, something like 1 degree Fahrenheit, but that may be only a temporary swing in the climate. So, dude, there's so many more in here. Like, they absolutely lie. And the audio's crap on this, so I'd have to... Dude, this guy right here, I love this guy's clip right here. Basically talks about how from 1898 to 1998, the temperature has increased 0.8 degrees, but the CO2 concentration raised from 295 to 367. So what he's talking about is saying, well, wait, we have all this extra CO2, but we don't have a lockstep causal effect of the temperature rising per CO2. And then later on in this clip, I put a clip in from the founder of Greenpeace talking about how carbon dioxide is actually good for our planet and that we need it and that we had way more of it in our atmosphere long ago where we had bigger trees and bigger things out there. So, yep, they lie. So to summarize our video today, they lie about everything.
I found that interview, I think started around
that's right.
420. And then we had talked about the World Commerce Corporation, right? A little bit?
Yes. I know you had a clip.
I got a little bit more information on that. You got to remind me on the clip because I do try to put in enough valid information in here. So
I know there was a I think you had made a graphic, I believe, on that one. I think that's one of the ones I had a graphic ready to go. Was it this one?
Well,
no. Nope, I don't have this one here. Would you say go to 4 change on this one?
Like 420, I guess. That's when Jesse comes in. He's talking to
so
Geraldo. I believe this is the clip. Not mistaken. Right here.
Social media companies, likely Google too, that this laptop they believed was Russian. Well, they had the laptop, so they knew in point of fact that it was not. They lied. They're continuing to lie. In fact, the former general counsel of the FBI became the general counsel at Twitter, right. Jim Baker, we just learned about 25 minutes ago, was censoring, even on Friday, the release of internal Twitter documents. Elon Musk just fired him, an hour ago. But we have a problem with federal law enforcement, with the FBI, and we need to fix it.
Jesse.
So the CIA and the FBI knows all about Biden Inc., and they've known about it for years. So why do you think the FBI and the CIA want Joe Biden to be president?
That is such a deep question that I can't answer. I have all kinds of suspicions. It's obviously better to have someone you can control. And we've seen this with previous U.S. presidents, including Richard Nixon. Tapes just came out showing this. Here's what we do know. At the very same time that they have allowed Hunter Biden to skate on FARA violations, he was representing foreign governments. He didn't register under the Foreign Agent Registration Act, FARA. They're going after some of the most prominent Republicans in America on FARA, threatening them or indicting them. They threatened Rudy Giuliani. Right? They threatened Steve Wynn, one of the biggest Democratic donors. Just yesterday, they indicted David Rivera, a Republican officeholder in Florida, on a FARA violation. No one's ever been indicted under FARA in 60 years. They haven't indicted Hunter Biden. This whole laptop is one big FARA violation. How can they do that? This boggles the mind. You don't have to be a Republican or a Trump supporter or a conservative. You just have to be an American who wants equal treatment under the law to see this as really scary.
So that wasn't that was a very good clip though, and I'm glad we got to play it. But the one that it was, I'm pretty sure, didn't Tucker come on like right after Jesse? Remember how on Fox News, I haven't watched them in a while, and maybe they still do it, but like whoever was following, like Hannity would come on and they'd talk for a couple seconds, and then they'd move into whoever the next person's show was. It was kind of like they were doing that. I think it was Jesse going into Tucker, but then he was like ribbing, oh, wasn't he your neighbor? Oh, you had him write like a thing for you. And the way he was saying it to him was, to me anyways, indicating that there was more to their relationship, and he was kind of ribbing him as we were going. But yeah,
I might have that, to be honest.
The Biden Inc. stuff is legit though. It's crazy to me though to hear him say like, oh, they were just trying to push all this stuff. And I wish I could find that picture, because I remember it was Tucker holding a very young girl's hand who was heavily made up, like almost like beauty pageant type of makeup, but I'm pretty sure she had like just a bikini on. And I may have been like a stripper pole around. It was pretty disgusting.
I put the link to the video. It's long, so you got to pick through it a little bit.
I think I'll be able to find it pretty quickly in there. I would think. Let's see, now is he with Jesse here?
Yeah.
Democrats and Republicans have been talking about a strip club.
Like all political refugees,
here we go.
He's a really troubled guy who had a great family, and then
Joining me now, host of Tucker Carlson Tonight. Tucker Carlson. Tucker, what do you think Hunter's like? Do you have any idea what he's like?
Like he doesn't know?
What he's like personally?
Yeah.
I know him well. He was my neighbor.
Oh.
He's a really nice guy. I've always liked him. He's a really troubled guy who had a great family, and then it blew up. He left, and now he's lost and hunted, and like all political refugees, he's wound up in the Hollywood Hills. He's like a lot of people I know in Washington. Totally good guy. Love to have dinner with him. I still like Hunter Biden. But he's a beneficiary of a system that's like completely corrupt. And it's so corrupt and it's so ubiquitous here that nobody even notices. It's like, of course he's making, whatever, $1 million a year from some Ukrainian energy company. Like, he's a symptom, not a cause.
Do you feel any sympathy towards him, or do you feel like he has any responsibility in this at all? Or is, this is the part of the swamp. People get these gigs and, they get second, third, fourth chances if you're related to a VP.
I feel deep sympathy for him, only because I could name off the top of my head 25 other people who are abusing our system more successfully. I just saw a bunch of them at lunch today. So yes, that's what this city is. It's a place where people leverage their connections, in his case, his DNA, in order to make a pretty good living while the rest of the country declines. So yeah, I mean, I'm sympathetic because, like, if his dad wasn't running for president, we wouldn't have heard of all of this. But I'm deeply offended by what he was allowed to do, because that's what people do here, if you see what I'm saying.
Right. So do you think, theoretically, that the reason that the liberals are so outraged at what Donald Trump has done in Ukraine is because he has zeroed in on these shenanigans that have been going on for generation after generation, and he was the first president to ever do anything about it? Do you think that's what this is about?
Of course it is. It's a massive threat. I mean, so Hunter Biden, running around impregnating strippers and stuff, it's obviously it's a Daily Mail story. It's a sideshow. It's like you can't turn away. Madeleine Albright, who was the Secretary of State, a completely mediocre person who's never had an original thought, not very smart, is Secretary of State full-blown affirmative action hire by Bill Clinton, true, and then leaves and basically through her connections with our chief rival/enemy China becomes rich with the Albright Group. That's totally cool. Nobody says word one about it. Selling out our country to the Chinese to get rich is totally fine. And nobody even notices. If you're at dinner with Madeleine Albright, everyone's like, oh, Secretary Albright, how are you? And nobody even acknowledges this is a person who has sold out our country in order to get rich. It's if you see what I'm saying. So it's very frustrating to watch this.
Yeah, maybe it's because there's no sensationalism with strippers and crack cocaine.
Exactly.
That's why it's not getting the highlight. So I want to turn to Bernie Sanders. And
Okay, good. I don't know why I remember that more of him busting at him, but in the very beginning, he was saying like, oh yeah, Hunter, like, do you know him? Oh, I know him very well. It's weird because he talks about how he's
Why did he
upset.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. Go ahead.
You're good. Well, no, he was just. It was just weird to me how he says like he's upset that he got to game the system, but yet he says how he likes them, he enjoys them, he's friends with them, and again, he had Hunter Biden write a friggin' letter. And dude, like, did all these people just say like, all right, Biden signed it, and they don't think about all the crap that this guy's done? And maybe it was before all the public stuff, but like. He did no favors on this one himself.
I noticed like two major things. I'd listed a couple times what we just played because the way Tucker protects Hunter and kind of defends him, and you can tell he's still friends with him. He's being very careful with his words, but then he also talks about Madame Albright dealing with China. Isn't that exactly what Hunter did? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So why is he deflecting to Madame Albright, not identifying that it was actually Hunter, which was the subject? Kind of strange.
It's why don't you call them all out, right? It doesn't make sense, and I think he's probably a little closer. So Mac, I'm gonna prep this one here. I'm gonna make this our finale here, and then I'll do some thank yous because I think somebody just mentioned this. You may have just mentioned something, but I'm gonna again preface this by saying again, does YouTube allow female nudity on their platform? I don't believe that they do. So therefore, in that manner. I would say that they are letting the Brittany Griner, whatever you want to say that whatever is that basketball player is, letting her shoot around the pool shirtless, and it's all over YouTube. There's many copies of it. So it's interesting to me that they don't remove that. You want to make any comments on this one before I let her fly?
We were talking about the WNBA and Brittany Griner fairly recently, and then this comes out, and the politician. I like the other guy just because he's not associated with politics. It seems like less of an operation, or a positioning to get a vote, but. I voted for this. The WNBA doesn't know what to do about this, and it's hilarious. So let's go.
Let her fly.
Get in the weight room, kid.
See you in the locker room. He's a force of nature, an absolute unit. The women are trying, but they just can't contain him.
Too slow, too weak. Arms too short. Keep trying.
I like this one.
Yeah.
I'm the definition of a woman.
Let me show you how real women ball. Let me show you how a real woman balls.
This is the definition of a woman.
Bravo.
Too small. Backhand. Who's guarding me?
You gotta love AI, dude. Did you happen to notice
Hilarious.
the backwards net right here?
I noticed many flaws, but it's still funny.
Oh, it was really good, really well done. This back of the backboard is not supposed to have another thing sticking down. It's supposed to be going that way. But out of all of it, that's pretty much a couple little ones. But that is damn funny, and they're ribbing them. But now they're talking about, the league is talking about, oh well, we need to talk about what it takes to enter the league now. Oh, really? Now because they're calling it out? That's friggin' hilarious, dude. And again, does YouTube allow that?
You'll like this one. Because Trump's always talked about LeBron. Remember?
Ooh, yes. Oh God, yeah. I should have had this one on here. This is funny. And I think is this the president of the NBA, or is this like one of the coaches? I forget who the person was that he's doing, because I think this was an actual.
The hair meme's been going around, so I think, but this is, I guess, trying to be a WNBA coach. Yeah, I don't know who it is though.
Let's see.
And I'll tell you what, if I were ever, I'd be the greatest women's basketball coach in history. Because I don't like LeBron James. I like Michael Jordan much better. But I'd go up to LeBron James. It doesn't matter. I'd say, LeBron, did you ever have any desire to be a woman? Because what I'd love you to do is star on my team that I'm building up. I will have the greatest team in history. They'll never lose. Nobody will come within 70 points of this team.
Nobody will come within 70 points. Did you see the score on the other video there too? By the way, I don't know if do I have it here still. You got to look at the very beginning. I don't think it would even be that close. This one says, what does it say? Trans All Stars 102, WNBA All Stars 62. It would probably be more like 125 to like 30 if they got lucky. But dude, yeah, this is our wild world, bro. What did they say in the drops?
Another hair meme for you. It's pretty funny.
What do they say in the drops? The more deeper we go, the more wilder it becomes.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember the exact quote.
Oh crap! Let me pull out the actual one here. And I don't know if it's my headphones, but.
Do a selfie. There you go.
I think they put one on Jimothy. They put one on him. Pretty funny.
Well, dude, think about it. Like, how crazy was that when Biden actually did the real thing, which was put a MAGA hat on? Like,
I know,
you would never do that, right? Like, we've been privy and been able to see so many just absolutely off their rocker type of moments in these last, 8-9 years now. It's just been absolutely a hell of a ride for sure, dude. There's been some downs, but I would say mostly ups over these last many years, and it's been a blast. And I'm very much enjoying what I'm thinking is the heavy disclosure phase right now that we're dealing with, because they're exposing all sorts of stuff: fraud, election stuff, money, the fact that money's fake. As well, in addition to many, many other things that they're setting right, like we talked about in the beginning, vaccines, right? Food, flipping the freaking food pyramid over. And I jokingly was saying that for years, dude. I bet you when they actually do the thing right, you just flip it upside down. Oh God! Well, imagine my surprise when they actually did it.
I think, didn't RFK just get today some people to Kellogg maybe to get rid of their additives, their color additives or something? Something happened today. I thought you might have had it on there.
No, I didn't have that particular one, but they are trending in the right direction. The only thing I don't like, and I'd have to look into her more, is that woman that was just hired, I think for the CDC, but she was saying that she believes mRNA shots are like good for you and healthy and whatever. So I'm gonna have to dig into her a little bit, but that was like last week or the week before. She's kind of back on my list of things to do.
So I mean, I have the clip if you want to put it. It's about a minute long. RFK.
RFK.
He filed he's blocking food manufacturers from sneaking chemicals into our supply without being transparent about it. So the clip's at the bottom.
Ooh, not cool. All right, actually, I'm going to thank Mr. Clag, my brother, Mr. Original Clag. Thank you for the $50 Rumble rant. He says, bro, I'm with you all. Mods know, I know. Clag's always watching. I appreciate it, brother. My resident fireman. My resident California fireman. Where am I going? Here we go. Ding, ding, ding. Give me 1 segundo. You got to go, Joe, and you got to go. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, thank you to everyone that tunes in, and we really appreciate it.
Even the extras today. That was fun.
I don't know what that's all about. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But
a couple of my other buddies said that they're getting the same as well. So it's not just me. Aw, shucks.
The storms hit us.
Hey, storm is upon us, apparently. Here we go.
Almost exactly 2 years later, we're here celebrating most transformative 18 months of food reform in modern American history. And today, we're taking 2 more historic steps to deliver on that promise that we made 2 years ago. First, we're overhauling the generally recognized as safe of the GRAS standards for that and the entire GRAS framework. We're proposing a rule that would end the practice of companies making GRAS determinations without notifying the FDA. The proposal will give the agency greater visibility into the substances that are entering our food supply. Second, alongside my friend and colleague, Agricultural Secretary Brooke Rollins, we submitted for final review the federal government's first definition of ultra-processed foods.
Wow, dude. I mean, they need somebody with a. If he didn't have the Kennedy name, he would be nowhere near his position just because of that voice, dude. I love his information, but I'm telling you, his friggin' voice almost gives me a panic attack listening to him at times. I'm just like, oh god. But what they're doing is great.
Some getting used to, definitely.
And I try not to. But how many did they have of those things before? GRAS. Did the FDA have, or do they have? How many GRS do they have? And I think he said it was over like 10,000 or something like that. Generally recognized as safe. All of those things, like I think he said it was like 10,000 of them or something like that. So that's how they get around, putting ungood things for us, even though they're, quote, generally recognized as safe. How many? Let me see if the AI gives me an answer quick. And we can wrap this bad boy up here. Generally recognized as safe. FDA does not have a single definitive total. However, according to recent agency data and independent research, there are roughly 1,000 to 1,300 officially tracked GRAS substances, though the total number of allowed food additives is much higher. Official FDA notices as of mid of 2026 has filed 1,234 GRAS notices for human food ingredients since the voluntary program began in 1998. And then what he was talking about, independent secretive additives, experts in FDA estimate that an additional 1,000 substances have entered the food supply through independent corporate self-determinations without ever being formally reported to the government. So that's what he was talking about a little while ago, which is going to be a gonzo going forward. So that's really good. I can. All right. So going to go do some thank yous and wrap up episode 221 of Hold the Line at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Time, Standard Daylight. Wait, did I see too that they're voting to get rid of that now? Finally, because they've been teasing it for a while.
Yes, and President Trump actually posted about it. So he's got his eye on it.
So what does that mean? Does that mean when we go to the fall, are we going to fall behind, or we're just going to leave it as it is now? I don't know. I didn't get an answer to that when I was looking it up. I just know that they said, no, we're not doing it anymore. So what does that mean?
I don't think they've passed it yet. Here's the post. Take a look. It's rather long, but you know, he wants the Sunshine Protect Act to pass.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what they've
Gross.
named it.
Let me get Mr. RFK off the screen. They're not seeing this anyways right now. Yes, let me go over and thank a few folks over here on the Pilled. I think I'm all caught up there on the Rumble side, actually. Mr. G Fonts came in with $1 holler on Rumble. Appreciate you, brother. Says these Trump accounts work like individual retirement accounts, IRAs, but beneficiaries may spend some or all at any time once they're 18 for college, car, down payment on a home, anything they want. That is awesome. Yeah, that's
Is it taxed? Is it taxed on the way out? I mean, I know we're going towards no taxes, but I was curious about that.
Oh no, G Fonts, if you're aware, just leave a regular comment there. I'm monitoring that, and I will come back and I'll come back and read that in a second. If you do have that information, over on the pill.net FlashMock5, that's a new name for me. I do have a good recall of names, so thank you for the cookie. Dropped a cookie, no message, but thank you, FlashMock5. Tanette Booth, I know that name. Gifted a month bronze tier subscription. Thank you there, Tanette. And then came in with another gifted bronze tier subscription, and then another gifted bronze tier subscription. So 3 of those in a row. Thank you, Tanette. I appreciate that. And then Daily Insanity. That's another one, new one for me. Who claimed one of those? KH Ohio claimed the other one. Band Mom Texas claimed the third. All right, so thank you for that there, Tanette Booth. And then Crystal Loves David, 17, dropped a cookie, says, God bless and prayers. Right back to you. I appreciate that. Tanette Booth came in with another can, no message on there, but thank you. Foxy Lady came in with a cookie, no message on there, but thank you. You know, that's the name of one of the strip clubs in Rhode Island. It's probably a strip club name in a lot of states, would be my guess, but that's the number one strip club in all of Rhode Island, apparently, Mac. Foxy Lady. And I've never been a big strip club dude for whatever reason. Shark Naz dropped a cookie in here. No message on there, but thank you. That's a new name for me as well. Sean Joe, it's not a new name. Space Squad member dropped a can. Appreciate it, brother. No message on there, but thank you. Who came in with another cookie from Sean Joe, followed by another cookie from Sean Joe, followed by yet another cookie from Sean Joe. And then he says, I'm not done. I'm coming in with a 3-month bronze tier subscription. I gifted that one out. And the funny part of that one is Tanette Booth claimed the 3-month subscription, and she was giving out 3 months herself as well. So that's funny. And the last but not least is Sean Joe with a cookie. Thank you on there, brother. No message on there, but thank you very mucho. I am releasing the scratch-offs, and they are all done over there. I'm coming back to Rumble, and we see if we got a answer on that one or not. All right, so I got an answer on the other one. It says, will remain spring forward as it is right now, talking about the time switch. So that'll be interesting. Because, dude, doesn't it, like every day gets the sun, wait, is it the way it is now, does it every day it gets darker earlier or darker later? I think it gets darker later, is it? But are we eventually going to come to a time like 2 years from now where it's going to be like pitch dark at like noon?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, because every day after we do the time change, right? Like say the first day is like, it's like a 45-second or maybe 20 to 30-second difference. So time change one day, the next day is either longer or shorter by 20 or 30 seconds. And then the next day after that is longer by another like 1 or 2%. And the next day is another 1 or 2%. So it kind of goes in that one way. So maybe during the solstice times, it'll switch back the other way. Perhaps.
No, but every time we switch back and forth, we're just auto-correcting it. So from the original timeline that we're supposed to be on, So whichever one it is it fall back or spring forward? I'm not sure. I can't remember. Which one feels better? I like more sunlight, so whatever provides more sunlight, that'd be great.
Yes. Yep. Fall behind. Spring ahead, fall behind. Okay. All right. You are not called up on Rumble. They disappeared. No, I think I did. I think I got everybody. Let me see if some of these disappeared. Okay. No, you're right. Thanks, Wheezy. Mr. G Font says, trolls, how about Trump's accounts? Kids born during this time get a $1,000 grant from the Treasury, invested in a tax-deferred ETF, and able to be added by them, employers, and families up to $5,000 a year. And then he dropped another 2 in a row, but I read the third one already. He says, all other Americans under 18 with Social Security numbers are not eligible for the 1,000, but can also participate and there to be targeted for a billionaire's family gifting. 1 share of SpaceX stock and the Dell's 250. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, those are just absolute idiot trolls, and I love playing with them. Sorry you guys and the mods had to deal with such jerk-offs today, but in the totality of time, I haven't seen any action like this, Mac, honestly, with the trolls coming in heavy like that since like 2018. It's been a long time. So we must be doing something right. So the last one, last but not least, is a super chat over on YouTube from Juicy JP 148. Says, God bless America. God bless all of our patriots. Thank you. And thank you, sir, for that. Let me make sure I got everything else there. This today? I think this, oh, wait. Dina Marie got that one. I got the Match You. Warrior Mimas, I got that one. Lee337Q dropped a $5 Rumble rant. And I think I have another thank you for Lee as well. So thank you for that, Lee. And then GE Chalk also dropped another $5 Rumble rant and says, carry on. Carry on, carry on. And I do have to thank Lee337Q, who also sent over a Ko-Fi, Ko-Fi, or a coffee over there. So I do appreciate that as well. Thank you very mucho there, Lee, 337, and all of you folks out there. Mr. Mac, any parting words on the way out for our wonderful world patriots and awesome mods?
Yeah, thank you, mods, especially tonight. That was crazy. I've never seen that. Yeah, like you said, we must have been talking about something, right? Because we did talk about a couple things. So hopefully we get some people to comment on them and answer some questions and look some stuff up, whatever we need to do. But thanks for a great show. Thanks for everybody that tunes in again, and looking forward again to next week. I think, you know, with all this stuff digging up, you know, what's going on in the background tonight with, you know, Insurrection Act, possibly, most likely, it looks like it's been confirmed. And the FBI running Operation Blackout and getting rid of all the criminals, that, you know, the midterms would be a very valid point for us to be looking towards as far as what the deep state's going to do and what we have in place and what we're going to do if they do anything. So stuff like Michigan, where that guy won, you know, the Muslim guy, they have to have rigged elections, or yeah, because the people being let in are probably immigrants if they were shipped there. So there's got to be nefarious, and I'm sure Trump and company knows what's going on. So there's got to be an exposure side at some point on these rigged elections, and we're coming up to a great example of where to show it. So that's what I got my eyes on. 0 day in the Q post. 0 day.
Hell yeah. Thank you. And thank you for that there, Warrior Mima. Put hashtag Team Space Shot at the bottom. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. And thank you again to the mods. Usually you guys don't have it that bad, but we did get attacked, and, you know, I've not seen it that bad since like the YouTube days in 2018, 2019. So usually when you get attacked like that, you're over the target. And I would contend that, yes, we are. And we have been for a while, especially seeing as Mr. Mac's Dyson Swarm thing he's been talking about for a long time, and a few others that we could mention. But as it were. We're going to be wrapping it up here, guys, and I do appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on these Mondays. This was episode 221, and this was Mr. MaQaveli and Space Shot, and we do appreciate, actually, I got to say, again, thank you to the mods again, because that was a little rough there. So thanks again, guys. And for the rest of you wonderful world patriots, we do appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. And until that next one, thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Peace.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion.
You have all the money in the world, you have all the power you need. What's the point? What's the end goal? They said the end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society.
Party in the garden, the tower's falling, love in the summertime. Ooh, yeah, yeah. And I'm unified, feeling oh so unified. In the light now, in the light now. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. Every day. I could get you lit up one of two ways. What's it gonna be, man? What's it gonna be, man? Say it, I feel like the whole world was begging me to rain fire above upon my enemies. Till the love washed over me, till I let the love wash over me. Say it, I forgot the whole world begging me to rain fire above upon my enemies. Till the love washed over me, till I let the love wash over me every day. It's a gift that's why we call it blessing. Every day. It's a gift that's why we call it blessing.
Drink these tears, can we be saved?
Is a gift